Fantasy and role-playing. They go together like white men and podcasts. And while Dungeons & Dragons was hugely popular amongst odorous nerds in the 70s, the genre had yet to really take off in the digital realm. One of the first true successes in this family was designed by two different white men, Andrew Greenberg and Robert Woodhead. Greenberg handled the game's initial coding while Woodhead founded its publishing company, Surtech. The game was dubbed Wizardry, Proving Grounds of the Mad Overlord, and was officially released in 1981 after undergoing extensive playtesting and reprogramming to ensure it would run at maximum capacity. Wizardry allowed players to create an adventuring party of their very own, outfitting them for battle, then taking them into a complex maze full of treacherous encounters beneath Trebor's castle. Trebor being Robert Woodhead's first name backwards. The goal of the game was to reach the bottom of the maze and defeat the evil wizard Wordna. Wordna being Andrew Greenberg's first name backwards. Aren't nerds funny? Wizardry became a monstrous hit on the Apple II, surpassing sales and critical acclaim of games like Ultima and even Zork. Players were captivated by its hours of play from a fresh perspective, as one of the earliest examples of a first-person dungeon crawl video game. There are 8 or 9 games in this series, but only one of them is the first. Today, we brave that treacherous maze to see if we've got what it takes to overcome the proving grounds of the Mad Overlord. It's a video game podcast.
Wow.
And there's so much to discuss. One of us knows all about them.
That's you.
And the other one's a dunce.
That's me.
You're gonna learn about the very best games with two annoying dorks.
Fatality.
From asteroids to Zelda, from adventure to Zork. We have no life, and we feel no shame. We need your help, 'cause we're bad with games. Welcome to the show. My name is Jonathan.
My name is Will.
And we are Bad with Games. Mm-hmm.
You wanna,
We sure
you wanna
are.
start us off here?
You're a little worse with games, though, to be truthful.
Well, yes. So that's the point of the show. For those of you tuning in, this is your first episode because, you saw all those other ones about weirdo games nobody's heard of. Metroid. The fuck is that? Zelda? These Z's and weird, I don't know. But Wizardry. You saw that and you were like, oh my, now that's a game. Proving Grounds of the Mad Overlord. This is the number one most popular game. This is going to be the episode where people are flocking in. So I think it's important to let you all know the premise of this show. I am not a gamer and I am bad with games. Whereas John is good with games and he's going to teach me. So now you know.
I could teach you, but I'd have to charge.
That's kind of funny.
That's pretty funny, right? That's coming back. Have you seen the dance?
I haven't. I'm not a TikToker like you.
You're not on TikTok. Well, it was in a. I don't know if it was an American Eagle or no, it was Gap, because whoever didn't do the Sydney Sweeney one, they had an ad with the Doja Cat song. Doesn't she do that in the cow song?
Oh yeah.
So it's that version that's become a new TikTok sensation. This is the fucking worst podcast. This week we're talking about Wizardry, Proving Grounds of the Mad Overlord, a dungeon crawl RPG released on the PC in 1981. You were playing this on your Apple II or your Commodore or some such thing.
I was?
Well, I mean the general you. Kids back then, they didn't have TikTok dances. They longed for TikTok dances, and the best they could do was Wizardry.
Back then he was just private you.
I don't think that makes sense.
Well, it's been a while since Wizardry came out. You
I just
see.
want to thank everyone for tuning in and remind you at the top of the show that you can always send us an email if you have thoughts or feedback, badwithgamespodcast@gmail.com. You can check out our sister channel on YouTube, youtube.com/@worse-with-games. If you're not watching our main one right now at Bad With Games, maybe you're listening to us wherever you get podcasts in audio form, and that's great too. And you can also check us out at patreon.com/badwithgames. Support us there at a couple different tiers. You can get bonus audio episodes every week where we cover other things related to video games and beyond. And now it's time to start the show.
Got some feedback for this show already.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'll save it for the emails.
You think it's good?
Oh, might be good. It could be. You never know.
Now, this is officially our second role-playing game, and right, that we've covered on the show.
That's true.
And it's previously we talked about Final Fantasy, which was several years after this game. This is a much earlier example of the genre, and it's one of the games that some people, like you, said, why didn't we play this first? Linear chronological progression is what I'm all about.
Right.
Said.
Yes, that's what I said for sure, and I'm definitely going to stick to that.
Well, we're circling back to it now. This is a game that, as you made fun of, I don't know that it gets brought up very often in modern circles, but it was a pretty big hit at the time. There were several sequels to this game. There's many Wizardry games. There was a remake of it not too long ago, a 3D remake. And it was a very big influence on the genre as a whole. That's why we're talking about it this week. We already discussed our RPG history and I think we've even talked about our tabletop RPG history.
Yeah, which is definitely more relevant here because that is one thing that immediately strikes you about this game, even just reading the manual, is how much this is, computer science nerds trying to be like, I bet I could make a computer run D&D for you.
Yeah. Right. Which is, by the way, you're really seeing it in our first season of our podcast here. How much Dungeons and Dragons runs through the DNA of a lot of these games. Obviously, in Wizardry, we'll talk about, and Final Fantasy pretty obviously too. But even we've brought it up in episodes like our text adventure episodes, Cave Adventure and Zork, and as well as Zelda, the original Zelda. It just seems like, that whether conscious or not, when video games were so young, that I think was sort of the inspiration, more so than you might think now based on modern games. It would be books or movies. And I think there was some of that too, but really I think it was D&D and role-playing games in general that inspired a lot of these mechanical choices in these early games. And it's not something I ever had really pondered consciously because games have really evolved past that. But man, in the 80s, like that was there for sure. That was a big part of it.
Yeah, it does make sense when you are first making games, and you've got some games that are just, Pong or Tetris or whatever, this is just a pure mechanical thing. But, if you're saying like, can I make a game in which you tell a story, right? There is a pre-existing way in which you've intersected a story with a game, right? Like it's and that's D&D. Right, like you can't just go to like, or it would be crazy to just kind of go to a book and be like, I want to make that book as a game. How? I don't know. Nobody's ever done anything like that before. Like that would be a little bit crazy to do. Whereas if you say, well, somebody already tried to, like, because they were a loser nerd, tried to like systematize and quantize a story, Lord of the Rings, so that you could play it. Let's just use that as our framework, and then we'll go from there. That makes sense. I get it.
Yeah. I guess the other one would be sports. you talking about Pong and stuff. I guess those are kind of the two branches, D&D or sports, in terms of like,
Mm-hmm.
well, what games exist that you can draw upon for inspiration? That's you're
Right.
either physical or you're sitting there with a pen and paper.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And sports is more of a pure game too. Like there's not a story to it. There's not like a world to it outside of just here's a game. I guess sports has characters in a way.
Sure.
Like people care about sports guys. They're important, you know? I know some of those sports guys. I know them by name.
Yeah. Yeah. I got to tell you, I am a pretty big fan of sports ball
Hmm.
on
Yeah, I
the
know
uh,
that
on the
about you.
old on
Right.
the old big game day. I'm
Uh-huh.
always going, go sports ball, which
That's funny.
is pretty funny. I was gonna say something else too.
Who knows?
I
Was
don't
it
think
about
it's
D&D?
yeah. Oh yeah, I was gonna say, again, D&D and sports being the two influences. Once again, those two things do boil down to, as we've mentioned before, menus and parkour, right?
Right, right. Yes.
And we've definitely got a menus game today.
That is true. There's a lot of menus in this game. Um, yeah, I mean, do we want to refresh the viewer's memories just slightly on our specific D&D experiences before we start here?
Sure.
Like even just for like a minute or two, like because we did. I think we went over. I don't even remember. Was it Zelda when we first went over it? I think it is worth specifically pointing out and being precise here. So while I do have a decent history with tabletop role-playing games in like my high school years, what I have not really ever done is D&D in particular. I think I have done one or two D&D or one or two one-shots using like campaigns, like just sit down once using a D&D rule set. But for the most part, that is not the rule set that I am used to for tabletop games. And, you know, part of the reason for that is because the D&D rules are very, very heavily focused on, especially early D&D rules, very heavily focused on like math and combat, which is the least interesting part of the role-playing experience. So,
To
you
you.
know, to me, yes, which is going to influence when I think about like what are we doing adapting D&D into a video game? What is interesting about D&D and what do we want to put into our game? What do we want to build up? I'm going to have some opinions on that that I think might be a little bit different than the people who made this game.
Well, they'll be on the show later, so we'll ask
Mhm.
them about it. I have experience with a handful of role playing games, many of which are just kind of indie one shot type of games. In terms of Dungeons and Dragons, I was a dungeon master for a
Mhm.
period of time.
Mhm. In
I
real
have
Dungeons and
engaged,
Dragons, right? Like
yes, in
specifically.
real,
Yeah. Mhm.
yeah, specifically Dungeons and Dragons. However, as you mentioned, I think it is important to note that I only have experience with 5th edition, and that is a far cry from the
Yes.
early, even like as late as 3rd or even 4th edition. 5th edition has much more of a focus on the role playing storytelling aspect of it. But when you're going back to the things that specifically influenced Wizardry, original D&D, AD&D and all that stuff, that really was just
Yeah.
almost entirely combat exploration type of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so jumping right into it, fifth edition would have been because I know about some of these things, but I don't really know where they fit in the timeline. This would be post like Thaco, right?
I don't even know what the
Okay,
fuck Thaco is.
so in this game, you have an armor class, which tells you how well protected you are, and
Uh-huh.
lower number is better, right?
Uh-huh.
Was
I
that
don't think I
true?
don't think that is true in 5th edition.
Okay. Okay, so that is directly related to some of the early rules of D&D that I think that they did get changed and people argue about sometimes.
Sure. At this point, I think 5th edition has just one.
Yes.
I don't think there's anyone left who fights for the earlier ones, because Critical Role came in and ran with it, and it's just become a much more massive hit than it's ever been before.
You're right in general, except for one of my close friends does fight for the earlier ones, but he is on the losing side of history.
Loser! Loser!
But yes, I mean, this immediately, I guess I'm kind of jumping into it a little bit here, but this immediately actually stood out to me because I am aware of this argument, and therefore I am aware of so the argument is, effectively, the reason it's good, so it's obviously very unintuitive. Higher number should mean better armor, right? But it's better to have lower number. And the reason is because although it's less intuitive on the character sheet, it makes the math you do in combat faster and more streamlined. And so if you have to do a lot of math in combat, you spend less time thinking about it and it's easier. And because you have to spend more time thinking about that, right, that's better, quote unquote. My immediate thing, because I was aware of this, noticing this game, is the first thing I thought was, you have a computer. The computer does the math for you, right? There's no reason why you should be trying to streamline. You should be why not take the exact same math and just say it goes from 0 to 20, and then I just have the computer subtract 10 and multiply by -1 or something. Like, that's all behind the scenes. And so almost right off the bat, my thought is, this is for D&D nerds. This is not a way to make D&D accessible to people who don't want to do all of that crap. The people who play this want to think, I could have done that math if the computer didn't do it. It's just cool that I have a computer. I don't need the computer to do it for me. So that is my literal first impression of this game, like, as I start looking at how anything works.
Yeah, I don't think... if someone had said, let's try to make Dungeons and Dragons accessible via the computer, everyone else in the room would have said, why would we do that? Like, it wouldn't, right. I don't think that even would have been entertained. Like, at the time, it wouldn't have made sense. There just was no universe in which they thought anyone normal would want to play something like that. It's like, what if we took Lord of the Rings and made it easier to read? You know, it's like,
yeah,
no, that's what we want. That we want.
That's the brilliance of Peter Jackson.
I mean, hey, you know what? You got me there. That is true.
Like, no, you're not wrong. Why would you think that? But like, you can do it.
Yeah, and they did do it more recently. In both regards. Before we get too deep into it, of course, I think we should take a look at this game's box art.
Oh, yes. I don't think I saw the box art. I have the manual. I don't think I saw the box art.
You've probably seen it somewhere. It's just a black cover with a big green dragon on it. And it says Wizardry at the top in a red font. Are you looking for it, or are you expecting me to send it to you again?
I'm looking for it. All right, I see it.
I got all my windows up. I got my microphone in front of me. It's not easy to send it to you. I need you to be prepared on the box arts.
If you have the window up, can't you literally just Control C, Control V it in a different window?
No, I've got the keyboard's like far away. My whole setup here is not conducive to messaging at this time.
Well, I'm looking.
I've got a system. Okay, great. So, yeah, it's the Wizardry logo is red and has a sword through it. Mm-hmm. And this dragon, I'd say it's sort of reminiscent of a medieval tapestry kind of a dragon.
Sure. Yeah, kind of long, serpentine. But still, yeah, serpentine. There you go. But still very Europeanly serpentine. Tiny little wings. Tiny
little wings, little feet. It got a hooked devil tail. Mm-hmm. I don't know if hooked is the right word, but a pointy tail.
Yeah, and a light tail. Is it a signature on the tail?
Yeah, perhaps. Maybe whoever illustrated this dragon, I can't read it from the version I'm looking at.
Or something.
Maybe it's for Robert Woodhead.
Could be.
The dragon is
Woodhead is not a good name.
Come on. Leave the man alone.
Like, I know
Is
it's a
that
family
his
name, but you should change it.
is that his tongue, or is that a little flame this dragon is shooting out?
I thought it was a oh, no, yeah, I think it's a tongue. I think you're right. He's got a little snake tongue.
I don't know. This cover is pretty boring.
Yeah, I feel like we have now seen the, like, sword through the letters motif multiple times, have we not?
You may be right. I mean, did Zelda do that in the
Did
first
they?
Zelda?
I don't remember if it was in the first one or
It
not.
might have.
Yeah, maybe. There's a little the geometry of these letters is a little weird, the way the sword is going through them. Like, they're oriented you see how that's, like, going through in
I
front of
think it's
some and
cool.
behind some?
Yeah, that's cool. That's dynamic.
Yeah, I mean, it is, but it's, like, it's confusing because none of them appear to be on different planes or rotated, so I don't really know.
It gives them dimension. It's like the sword is going through the middle. Whoa, it's like they're a three-dimensional thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess what I'm saying is it looks like the sword is going through the middle as though they have dimension, but I don't see dimension. It's like one of those, like, illusions, the thing
I
with, like,
don't.
that has 3 prongs, but it doesn't.
You're overthinking it. It's just a
Hmm.
font choice. It just adds a little color to it, a little flavor, as opposed to what you wish the sword was just on the top of all of them.
I don't necessarily wish that. It's just odd. I wish that I could see, maybe I don't, maybe I do wish that I could see dimension in the letters so that it would make sense that the sword goes through them. I don't know.
I
Maybe
think
it's a
there's
cool little
plenty of
illusion effect.
dimension. I don't think it's an illusion. I
It
think
is.
you're overthinking this.
Maybe you
There's
just don't
no-
have good spatial awareness.
I think you have too much spatial awareness.
We'll see
They're
if we continue
letters.
to agree with that by the end of this episode.
I think the font is cool. I like the logo. The dragon's fine too. That's fine. It's not a very exciting, welcoming cover. It just kind of looks like a generic. I mean, I think there are maybe dragons somewhere in this game. I didn't
That
see
could
any of
be.
them.
I don't know.
But like, I don't know. Why not put
how-
like the wizard? Why not put the evil wizard on the cover?
I mean, how
Like,
similar is this to a contemporary Dungeons and Dragons cover? Because that could be what they're going for.
yeah, I think it's. You mean at the time contemporary?
Yeah. Like, when a nerd walks in and they're like, "Do I want this game?" They
Yeah.
want people to say, "Whoa, that looks like Dungeons and Dragons. I love Dungeons and Dragons." Right? Is
When
it
a
like
nerd
that?
walks
Maybe.
in with an itty bitty waist.
Hmm. Hmm.
All right. Okay. Yeah, I think it does look a lot like that. Should we get back to the game?
Yeah. What was the what was that Royale we just did? I forget.
That was the box art royale.
Box art Royale. Okay. I didn't know.
You
if
know
it
what?
had
I think here's the new name for that segment.
yeah.
That's called covering it,
Eh,
because it's the cover, and now we
Yeah,
have
no,
covered it.
right. No, I got that.
Covered it. At the start of the segment, we say time to cover it, and then at the end we say covered it.
I just
People will let us know that they like it.
write in and tell us if you like that.
So we played, there are multiple versions of this game. It was put out on the NES, but we played the very original, what you would have played if you were on an IBM PC. I think maybe the Apple II version might have been a little different. There's slight differences, but pretty much any of these early Commodore 64 variations were all kind of the same thing, and that's what we stuck with. So running this in MS-DOS on our modern day computers, which is always fun.
Mm-hmm.
And you will have seen already the footage on your screen if you're on YouTube, but this is primarily a text-based game, not in the same sense exactly as something like Zork. There are menus on screen, and they give you choices of locations that you can go. Basically, you move between the main area, which is the castle, and the maze, which is where you do all your adventuring. And once you move into the maze, you do get a 3D visual simulation of moving through the maze. And if you find a monster, then you do get a little shitty picture of the monsters that you're fighting. Other than that, And there's like a treasure chest icon. There's a few things that are represented visually, but 90% of it is just menus and text.
Yeah, it is an interesting transition game because there are some pictures in it. Additionally, like, now that you're spelling it out, and I don't know that I thought about it in these terms, but spelling it out that way, I'm seeing some things here. This idea of, okay, you go down into the maze and you map out the maze, right? This is just Zork and
It's
Colossal
Cave
Cave Adventure
Adventure.
again.
Yeah.
But right, when you come up, you're not dropping stuff off at the house, right? You come up to the castle, which is where you upgrade your gear and buy your items and outfit your party and heal up in between attempts, which is what Final Fantasy is doing, but not what Zork or Cave Adventure are. So you've got almost this like transition fossil, right, between the two games in a way.
Totally. Yes. It is fascinating. I mean, we called this an RPG, which like it is an RPG. But it does have more in common. All these games have more in common with each other than I would have thought. Or that you might even after playing them that you might think until you really sit down and think about it and go, "Oh, yeah, it is very much the formula of a cave adventure."
Right.
I mean, there's even turn-based combat in those games, right? It's just they really
That's
are
technically
just
true, yeah.
They're just different approaches to bringing D&D into a computer. And I guess the text adventures are the ones that focus more on the storytelling part of it, and this was like, well, what we like is the combat part of it.
Right. And it's interesting because like you're not wrong to say that it's about bringing D&D into the computer, because that is what people were obviously thinking when they made these games. But I do think it is more general than that. Like I do think that it is like, how do you bring a world and a story into a game, right? I mean, you do it by using D&D because that's what already exists. But like
that's the template.
Right. But like, I think it could be helpful to think of it less like we're trying to bring D&D into a video game. Final Fantasy is just D&D, and more like D&D is the bottleneck through which stories can enter games, right? Because that's just what it was.
Yeah, right. Like all of these developers just were playing that at the time.
Yeah.
So when it comes time, I don't think they were sitting down and saying, all right, we have D&D, we have a computer, what do we do? But I think they just, maybe some of them were, but you just couldn't help but use that stuff. It was just so prevalent.
Fucking literally every single piece of fantasy across all mediums has been bottlenecked through Tolkien.
That's right. I mean, this game is pretty D&D, but we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
I mean, before, so I don't know about you, but as with Zork, I suppose, or with many of these games at this point, I did read through the entire manual before I started the game at all. And it seemed like that would be important. I mean, I think I first loaded up the first screen of the game and it's like start a scenario or save to disk. And I was like, I need to look at the manual. I don't know what this means.
No, very funny that what the manual had to say about it was ignore the part about the disc, because that was back when you had to put in different floppy disks to run the game. You have a hard drive. It can act as all those floppy disks.
Yeah, I'm not totally sure what version of the manual we're looking at, because obviously that wasn't in the original, because why would they have that option in the menu? But in this manual it says ignore that, and it's correct.
Yeah.
But I don't know. But I did. I read this manual is almost equivalent to a player's guide for Dungeons and Dragons in terms of length and depth.
Yes.
After I read this, I felt like I had already played this game for 2 hours. And after having then actually played the game, I still feel that way. I think reading this manual might be just as good as actually playing the game in terms of getting the experience. I think they are equivalent.
Yeah, I mean, well, I will say, I do think this is the first game that I actually like 100% not only needed to read the manual, but needed to have the manual open while I played.
Yeah.
Like literally could not play with that. It's like, okay, I read how to do all this stuff, but like it is damn near impossible to even function in the game without checking the manual until you've memorized how to do every single bit.
There are things that I think are really not that complicated in practice, but
Yeah.
until you sort of get your
Right.
head around them, maybe even reading the manual makes them seem more complicated than they are. So, for instance, I mean, there are many pages before you even go into the maze about how to start the game.
Hmm.
And for people, I assume many people listening to this will not have ever played this.
Hmm.
So we should be somewhat detailed here.
Yes. So the first thing you do, you're in the castle, and by in the castle, what I mean is you have some menu options, right? Like the
Yes.
menu options are like what Gilgamesh's pub, Adventures Tavern,
Tavern. Oh, no, it is it the pub and the tavern?
or no,
Fuck. No, it
Adventures
is
in
Gilgamesh's
Gilgamesh's
Tavern.
Tavern. Yeah, Adventures in
Thank you.
Boltax Trading Post, something else, and like wall exit. So the first thing you want to do is exit. Then you could go to the training grounds or the maze or some other options, and you go to training grounds. There, you're gonna roll D&D characters the way you would in D&D, right?
Yep.
Once you've rolled your D&D characters and made them, given them classes and alignments and names, you go back into the town, and by go back, I mean click the menu. You click the menu for the tavern, and now you've got all the characters that you made populating, and you can add them to your party, right? Once you've
Right.
done that, you can go to the tavern, you can buy these stuff. Now it's a little bit more like Final Fantasy, right? I can buy stuff with their gold, I can equip things, blah blah blah. Then I can leave again, go into the maze and start exploring the maze.
Yes. So, yeah, really what there is in the town is the store to buy equipment, the
Mhm.
inn to heal your people and level up in
Mhm.
this game, and the training grounds to make characters. The Adventures Inn is sort of redundant in my opinion. If you
Isn't
have a
that where you
lot of characters, you can like swap them in and out,
I
I
thought the
guess.
inn was where you healed them, wasn't it?
So,
Or like where you
sorry,
made them.
I meant Gilgamesh's Tavern. Sorry,
Oh,
I
yes,
meant
yes, yes.
Gilgamesh's Tavern.
Yeah,
Sorry.
the tavern, yes, is 100. So I mean, it is worth also noting, you keep saying, and I keep saying, there is a tavern and an inn. What there is a menu that says tavern, and a menu
Yeah,
option that says tavern, and a menu option that says inn. So it's understandable why you
yeah.
might get them confused.
Yes, you just press the key of the one you want to go to, and it's like, here's who's here,
Hmm.
and you're like, okay. There's no images, no visuals in this part of the game. There's not even a little diagram of a castle or anything.
Right.
Just text.
Yeah. It's funny, you read the menu and it'll say like, oh, well, evil adventurers can't party up with good adventurers or whatever with the alignment. So like you'll go into the pub and everyone will show
Yeah.
up all eager to join your party, and but then if you select an evil guy, all the good guys will go away grumbling and it's like none of that happens, right? You just select people from a roster.
You got to use your imagination.
Right. Yes, exactly.
But it really is, if you're not reading that manual,
Hmm.
you just go in here, you really would be very confused and you'd look around and go, I don't understand what's happening. There are some pre-built characters who I don't even know. Did the manual even mention them? I don't even know what
Yeah,
you're
I
supposed to
didn't
do with them.
I didn't see that, and I think they are all listed as out, meaning they're like in the maze, so I think you have to bring
Mm.
them back, but I'm not sure. They were all named nerd shit.
Now, this is interesting because I think the names are different because
They are.
restarted. Yeah, they
Yes.
change.
I did too.
So I want to know what names did you see? Because I saw some pretty good ones.
God, what the hell was my first list of names? Oh my God. Why can't I remember? The second list of names I had were Star Wars names.
Yeah,
It
I
did
had some of
include, for
those.
example, Sheev.
I saw,
Very
wasn't it
happy
like
to see that.
Shreve though or
Oh,
something?
was it? Maybe it was.
Yeah, because I don't think Sheev. I think he didn't make that up until like 2007 or something.
Wait, but then how? Huh. What? Am I confused? I'm
No,
probably just confused.
I saw the same ones you did, and I think I did think they were from Star Wars too, but I don't know if it was Sheev Palpatine. or
Yeah.
not. I don't know.
There's
The
there's
first
like
one,
a
the
or yeah,
first
yeah,
one
yeah.
that I saw
Mhm.
was the names were Elwood, Jake,
Yes.
Murph,
Yes, that's what
all
it was. I was like, yes, the
yeah,
first that's right. That's what I was trying to look through my video footage to find. Yeah.
yeah, all Blues Brothers character, which I thought was pretty great.
Yeah, that was great.
and
I loved
and
that.
not at the time that movie was like 3 years old or 4 or something, or not, maybe not even. When did Blues Brothers come out? Maybe that was like 1980.
Yeah, it would have been very close to then.
So that was
Yeah.
that's a timely nerd reference.
Mhm, mhm.
It's not even that deep of a nerd thing. So that's kind of cool. That's my favorite part of the game, I think.
Yeah, it could easily be.
Seeing those names. There they are. But yeah, so this character creation process, it really is, it's a whole thing. Just like you're
Mhm.
playing a real D&D
Yeah.
game, and you do have to be referencing the manual because unlike D&D, at least again, my experience
Mhm.
with it, I think this would be probably, I don't know how this worked in the early ones. Maybe it was closer to this. You don't just say, "Oh, I'd like to be a fighter."
Mhm.
Your fighter needs to have a certain um what is it? Do they call it strength in this?
Yes.
A certain strength stat to become a fighter, and same for, the priest needs a certain piety level, or someone needs a certain IQ level, whatever the stats are. And you start with a randomly ish generated bunch of stats, and you get a certain amount of points to allocate. And
Mhm.
you need to allocate those points properly, and then it will tell you, oh, that could make a fighter if you wanted. So when they recommend, like, oh, you should start with this kind of a party, and I'm like, okay, so I need another fighter. I can't just go pick fighter. I have to put, okay, how many points did I need? 11. Okay, there's fighter. Now I'll
Mhm.
figure out the rest. And then sometimes, I think you just can't do it. I think unless you're really lucky, it's very hard to generate a samurai right at the start. They just
I,
need really high stats.
in the manual, it said it is not possible.
I thought it said that about ninjas and something else, but I thought
Mm.
you could do samurais. Maybe I misread it.
Mm.
I don't know. Anyway, I couldn't do it. Um, but like, you sometimes you will get 5 bonus. It's just like D&D. You might, whatever,
Yeah.
it's like as if you had rolled for how many bonus points you get. Somebody might get 15, somebody else might get 5, and
Right.
you can just start over. You can like make a new character and scrap them, but it's very elaborate, the process.
Yeah. No, I mean this is kind of a thing, right? Because let's compare it to Final Fantasy because that's what I've done here, right? In Final Fantasy, at the
The
beginning, you've
original
got
NES Final
the
Fantasy.
original NES Final Fantasy. You've got 6 classes and 4 party slots. So if you want to start the game, you just pick 4 guys from that roster. Here, you have 6 party slots, right? Rather than 4. And for each one, you have to go in, you have to pick an alignment, so you have to decide like how they're going to align with other guys and think about how they might line up with other parties in the future. You have to pick a race which is going to give them, like, they're going to be predisposed to being easier to make certain classes or others. Then you get extra points which you have to allocate, and you have to go check back to the manual to see what the thresholds for the class you actually want is. Then you put those points there, then you figure out how you want to allocate the other ones, and then you're done. And you have to do it 6 times instead of 4 times. So it's actually like a pretty decent process, especially because like a lot of the controls on it aren't as intuitive because you're doing keyboard stuff rather than just like, up and down arrow and select button. And some of the keyboard stuff is a little bit odd because it's old, where it's like, yeah, up and down are making my stats go up and down, but then I cycle through the list with enter, and then I move to the next section with escape, and it's like, that's not quite how I'm used to using a keyboard. So it's a little, so it just, everything is slowed down a little bit. There's more decisions, there's more thinking, you have to do it more times, and this is before you can even start doing anything. Um, yeah, if you don't have more to say, I would like to tell you my process of starting this game because it really was very disheartening.
Yeah, please go right ahead.
Okay. So I started off this game, right? I loaded it up. I got And I spent a lot of time trying to put my first party together because, like I said, it was like I got to figure out, okay, what was that threshold again? Okay, what was the composition I was going for? Which race went with which thing? Okay, what were the controls again? Took a while to get through it. Okay, okay, so I'm just going to walk through the guide. Let's see what we can do. Okay, I got to go to the tavern. Figured it out. Okay, now I want to go to the trading post. I hit B to go to Boltax trading post and it doesn't work. And I don't go there. And I'm like, I wonder what's going on here. Did I mess something up? Well, let's try going to the Adventurers Inn. That doesn't work. Well, let's go back to the okay, Gilgamesh's Tavern works. Okay, can I go back to the training grounds? Yep. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do? Maybe I can just go to the maze. I try to go to the maze, doesn't work. I go online. What's how are other people solving this problem? Nobody else has this problem. And at this point I'm like, I think I have a bugged my version just is bugged or something. So I've been playing it for a while, and I just kind of have to quit and go download a bunch of other versions, try to troubleshoot them, get one to work. Finally, one does work. The whole process of making the party I have to go through all over again, right? It's a huge start, right? To every time you restart. And yeah, I did just have a faulty version, right? I just had a faulty version.
Wow.
Um,
Huh.
like that was it. It just didn't work. I just needed another one. But the point is to even discover that I was locked out of taking any actions in the game, to even just start took so long that having to start again was just a massive problem. And then of course, so then I had other issues which we will get into because I outfit my party, I go into the maze, and almost immediately I run into major issues, which we will get to.
Now, I will say I sympathize.
hmm
At one point, I did do a total restart as well, and I do think the second time through was
hmm
was much faster and smoother because I had a better
hmm
sense. I just knowing the keyboard presses better, you can get through it quicker to be like
Yeah.
enter, enter. Oh, that's no good. Escape, end, go again.
Right.
Enter, enter.
How long did you play in between the restart?
Like how?
Like, what did you do before you started again?
So well, I'm gonna say this right up front. Right up
Yeah.
front. 40 minutes in,
hmm
I did not get very far in this game.
I mean,
As
neither did I. That's fine.
This is by you every week on this show. I try to be. If I don't beat the game, I try to get a really good sense of it. Whereas, this is about your journey and your
Mhm.
learning experience. But I want to be more of if I can, have a little bit more of the expertise and knowledge about the thing as a whole to be able to talk about it from different angles. And this was not one of those weeks where I succeeded in that goal. Um, I, I did not make it past the first level of this maze.
Oh no, I did not do that either.
So
Well, we'll get into
yeah,
it.
I mean, I made my overall summary of my journey was my first party. I did a handful of maze runs. At a certain point, they all died. Total
Mhm.
party kill.
Mhm.
And that was when I said, well, I might as well just start a new game from
Okay.
scratch.
But so you did do some maze runs before you started a
Sure.
new
Yeah,
party.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, okay. Because I was going to say, I do think that matters to some degree because you were better at understanding, like,
Mm-hmm.
because there is like a logic to how you use the keyboard and control the game that is consistent throughout. It's just not what you're used to because for me it was very disheartening because I made the party all 6 members and then I immediately I basically made 12 members to start the game, right? Like I did not play any game before having to do it again. So it was a little smoother, but I still wasn't used to the keyboard and I hadn't done anything but sit there and make party members. And
Right.
troubleshoot why it didn't work. So yes, like as I was getting very frustrated before I even began in a way that I might not have if there wasn't so much upfront work.
It's very intimidating. I mean,
Mhm.
even After reading the manual and then before and during actually making the characters, it just feels like I'm gonna make this party wrong. I
Mhm.
don't know what I'm doing. I feel like I'm gonna go into this maze and everyone's just gonna get slaughtered. There's so many options. Is this enough points? Should I put it into this stat or that
Mhm.
stat? It's like it is just D&D,
Yeah.
only you don't have a player's guide. You have this manual, which
Right.
feels, I don't
And
know,
you
it doesn't feel as helpful to me.
and you don't have anyone else either, right? Like this is I mean, this is the thing, right? Is that the game very much expects you to not have this issue because you see this and you say, "Oh, I'll make a D&D character sheet." I've done dozens of those before, right? And then I played with them. I know how to make a D and I like making D&D character sheets. Sometimes I just make new characters for fun just to see what the dice give me, right? So like I see this thing and I go, "Cool, I get to make a dwarf guy. Oh, I could make an elf guy. Ooh, I right? Like
Yeah.
I don't think that the game expects you to come in and be like, okay, what I know the basics of how to do this sort of thing, but I haven't interacted with this system before. It's very clearly just D&D.
Yes,
Um,
totally. You're supposed to just know how all these things work, whereas I'm coming
yeah.
into this like, I don't know, should I make him an elf?
Yeah.
I guess.
And I do think you're also supposed to like making him. Like I think this
Yeah.
is for the kind of person who would roll characters for D&D sheets in their free time on their own that they don't intend to use in campaigns just because they think it's kind of fun to do.
Yeah.
Right? Because like
Yeah.
also as you said in real life, the other thing about real life that makes it less intimidating is that like when I made character sheets in high school, I never did it at home, right? Like I'd sit around in a room with my friends, we'd be like, we're gonna start a new campaign, and then I'd be like, I think I'm gonna be this thing, and maybe I'll set like this. Ooh, that's fun. Maybe you could do that. And I could say, like, do you think this is enough points for this? Or could you tell me what the threshold for the fighter class is? Yeah, yeah, like the point is there's conversation, there's interaction. And
Mhm.
fundamentally, there's none of that here, right? And that's not just true of the character creator; it's also true of the combat and the exploration and all of that stuff. Like all of the things that these basic systems give rise to in social interaction can't be there, right? The game would have to provide that for you, but in this case, it is mostly your imagination providing that for you.
I suppose you could invite some friends and sit around the computer and do this together.
That's true. Yeah, maybe people did that. I don't know.
That I did in some of the things that I read online of people's comments on this game. I do think that was something people would do to some extent, almost in the way you would with Oregon Trail, where you
Hmm.
name all your people after people you know in real life.
Mm.
You could be like, oh, I'm bringing this is John and Will into my party.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's something to that. I think there's something to that. That could be fun because that would also, if you had a large group of people, that kind of takes the load off of having to make six fucking characters before you start, right? Because you're kind of making one, and then you're going to the fridge to get a beer and shouting helpful
Mm.
tips back at the guy who's now sitting in front of the computer in your place,
Yeah, you
or
know
maybe
what I
not so
like
helpful.
doing? I like making one character sheet.
Yeah.
Like that's fun. I don't really want to make six.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
And the game also lets you make, I don't know what the limit is, but
Yeah.
it's not like pick your six characters. You can just make as many characters as you want and
Yeah.
then, you know, uh, recruit them at the tavern.
Yeah. No, I mean this was and this is also the thing is that if you make one character it's a lot easier to get invested in it, right? Like
Hmm.
in again in Final Fantasy you've got these cute little character models and you can be like, "Oh, that's my fighter." I know they could have put images in this cuz they did for the bad guys. So imagine if there'd been like a little gnome for your gnome, but there isn't.
Sure.
So it's hard for me to get attached to any individual character. And I can imagine if you made one up front, you could be like, but that's my guy. He's whatever.
Hmm.
But if you make six, it's like at a certain point, you're just like, I just got to crank out some more, right? Like when I started, I was just like, I'm gonna make one for me, and I'll make one for John, and then I'll make Nomeo the gnome, uh, Habbo the hobbit, right? And at a certain point, like it doesn't matter.
Now hold on. Are these the actual names that you went with?
I had Bad Dog. It was like dog times is my so I went for Bad Dog for me. and Johnner for you. And then I had Nomio, Habbo, Gooby, and Grotho.
And was that was the party you stuck with? There weren't any others?
Well,
I mean,
I'll get to that.
Okay. I'm a little surprised. I thought 6 party members, it would have been even easier for you to make Animorphs
Oh,
again.
that's true. I could have done Animorphs again. Yeah, you're right. Well,
You really missed out on that one.
I did.
I just made up like Gumo and Shrim and Flan and Ham and just like whatever.
Well, like I said, I did have Gooby
Lucky.
and Grotho.
Right.
And Habbo.
Yeah. I did go with whatever the recommended early party in the book was, which I think is 3 fighters, a priest, a thief, and actually no, in the book I think they recommend 2 mages, which I did first. 2 mages, 2 fighters, a priest, and a thief, or something. Did I say too many? I don't know.
Yeah, that's correct. My assessment of that, and we'll see what you say. My assessment of that is that is almost certainly correct when you get deeper into the game, because having multiple mages gives you more, like you can use your spells more wantonly and not worry about the limit. But when you're early in the game and you don't have access to a lot of spells and you only have 2 spell points per mage anyway, and so your mages are kind of dead weight, you probably do want to start with 3 fighters and then come in with a mage, with another mage later.
Well, that's what I then, for my second team, looked online to see if anyone had tips and tricks. And that's, I then did 3 fighters, a priest, a thief, and a mage. I can't say it went better for me. But then I also saw the thing about, okay, I mean, should we transition to the maze itself?
Yeah, I mean, some people might say we're an hour into this game and all we have done is roll characters in the opening menu. And that does mirror my experiences very closely.
The game in many ways is, I would say, similar to what you might think of today as a modern rogue-like game.
I don't have a great definition of roguelike.
Well, people, I don't know. I don't want to.
Didn't let me play Rogue yet.
Yeah, and when we play Rogue, I think it's maybe going to be a lot like this. But I will just try to summarize. Of course, there's nuance and there's different branches of it, but a big part of a roguelike is often that you have one sort of hub world, your home base, so to speak, where you can buy equipment or talk to people or get upgrades or something. And then there's now time to go into the real game part of the game, where you fight enemies and explore and get stuff, see how far you can get until you die, and then it resets you back to the beginning. And depending on the game, sometimes that means losing everything you had and starting from scratch. Sometimes you get stuff that you can keep to make future runs easier. And that's basically the formula of this game. You have the castle, and then you go to the maze until you either die or you get hurt, and then you run home and heal and go back.
Yeah, except I think you 100% are supposed to be able to make it back. Like, if you die in the maze, you are making new characters from scratch.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, there's ways to attempt revival and such.
Yes, but I think all of those ways involve sending in other characters after you. Right?
I think it depends. No, sometimes
like if your whole party dies.
Oh, right? If your whole party dies, for sure.
Yeah. If you come back with a dead character, maybe you can do something.
Yeah. It's not like Final Fantasy or later RPGs where, you have your team of 5 or 4, however many it is, and that's your team. Like this, it's a little bit like Fire Emblem as well. In some of those games, you have a big cast of characters, and if somebody dies, they just die.
Yeah.
And you keep going.
Yeah. And it's also kind of like, with that cast of characters, it is also kind of like D&D in that way, in that you can just have as many people in your game as you want. Like, you've got 6 people at a time, but one thing we didn't actually mention in the character creator is that all the characters are potentially, if you want, password protected. So you can make your guy and say, only I get to use my guy on this computer.
Right. Yeah. And all your other friends can be like, I got this far in the maze today. It's almost like Animal
Yeah.
Crossing or something. Everybody shares one
Mm.
little castle town.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of fun. Mom, Jimmy's hogging the maze. Mom, little Tina stole my password and she's teaching my priest bad spells.
She killed my priest.
Oh, this game's satanic. Burn the computer. Anyway, that was the dad. Anyway, when you go into this maze,
Isn't Dad Mickey Mouse?
oh, it does really resemble the old Windows screensaver.
Yes. Immediate recognition of that, yes.
Only it's really just, is it even green or is it white? It's just monochrome walls. I mean, honestly, compared to the rest of the game, it is sort of like, whoa, I can see the hallway. Holy shit.
Yeah, I mean, like that is what this has over something like Cave Adventure, is that you can, you go into a maze and you map it out. But like in Cave Adventure, you just prompt. Here you can physically see the passages where you are. Now, unfortunately, that does also mean that they are limited in what they can be, which is flat walls. So like it's way more exciting than when Cave Adventure is like there is a north-south tunnel and an east-west tunnel, but it's not as good as when Cave Adventure actually describes the room.
On the plus side, it does mean that if you like go north and then try to go south and it says there is no south, now it's southeast to go back where you just came from. Like that doesn't happen.
Right. No, something weird happened to me,
it might.
but
I mean, it kind of can. But typically,
yeah.
Now, yes,
Mostly,
this is another game where they expect you to map it out yourself. In fact, I believe the original game came with graph paper for you to use as you played.
I do also think that mapping dungeons was a much bigger part of early D&D too.
Mm-hmm. I think that's probably right. So, and they tell you always start in like the lower left corner, I believe. And then you just need to map it out. Now, I did do some maps for Cave Adventure and Zork, and I sort of enjoyed it. This game, I did not do any maps. Did you?
So I did actually start doing mapping in this game. But before we get to that, let me tell you about my starting experience in the maze.
Sure.
So I remember now I have restarted my party twice. I had to troubleshoot the game. I have spent a long time. Okay. So doing all of this, I finally outfit my party. I get into the maze, right? I start walking down the corridor. I have yet to make a single turn when I get an encounter. Okay. And of course, I'm like, let's fight this encounter, because how bad could an encounter be, right? Like, they can't kill you they can't be like the first encounter's too bad. Now, I don't know this. Now I do. But at the time, this is actually some of the most monsters I saw out of any encounter, right? Coming at me all at once. And I was just like, it's probably fine. So I tried it. And first of all, I didn't know how threatening it was. Secondly, I wasn't sure, like, should I be dispelling monsters or attacking them with my priest? And third, I ran into this issue where I didn't know how spells worked, apparently, right? I was all like, I should have level 1 spells on my mages, right? I guess there's a spell option. I'm pressing it. It doesn't give me any options. And I'm like, huh. Apparently, I don't know any spells. Now, it turns out you have to know the name of the spell by reading it in the manual and typing it in manually, but I didn't know that. So I enter into this encounter. It's my first encounter. It's got a shitload of enemies. I'm not quite sure what I'm doing, and half of my team can't do anything against them. I do beat this encounter, but one of my party members dies. Like, not injured, outright dead. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess I gotta go back to town, right? So I go back to town, And I go to the priest area, and they're like, and remember, at this point, I have not made even one single turn in the maze. I go to the priest area, and I'm like, okay, pay us like all your gold to revive him. And I'm like, okay, I will pay like all of my gold out to revive him. And they go, nope, you lost the roll, failed. He didn't revive. Actually, you're fucked. You don't have that party member. You don't have any money. And
Man, you suck at this game.
I was
Holy
fucking
shit.
I was fucking pissed. So the first thing I thought, it was a lot easier once I once I started fighting easier enemy troops, and once I realized that you had to type the spell name in. But okay, so the first thing that I thought here was, they had this whole thing about exiting specifically by doing this. What if I just turn off the game? And well, actually, my first thought was, I guess I got to make a new fucking party member from scratch.
Yeah.
Which I did do. Remember, all I've done in this game is make party members. I've now effectively made 13 party members without doing anything.
Pretty fun.
Yeah, which is pretty fun.
Is
But
that
then
how
I was
many
like,
dwarves there were?
right, yes. Yeah, wasn't it 12 plus Gandalf, and that's why it was 13?
Yeah,
Anyway.
that might be right.
Anyway, the point being, so I thought, well, maybe if I just turn off the game, I can like save scum it. Maybe it doesn't remember my guy died. So I just turned off the game. I started up again, and it doesn't, and it does remember it. It did save, and I was like, all right, fine. I just don't feel like dealing with this, so I closed it out. I come back later. I open up the game. It doesn't remember my party. It doesn't remember anything I made. And I'm like, what the fuck? I immediately closed it and left again. I was like, fuck this game. I'm not doing this. I finally come back and I'm like, all right, I guess I'm making my whole team from scratch. I open it. This time it does remember. I don't know why it didn't remember the other time. So it turns out it was fine. I could have just started again. So now I can get into the maze and I go into the maze and then I can start doing the gameplay loop you're describing where I'm like, okay, I'm mapping out the maze, I'm doing encounters, I'm getting gold, I'm going back to town. But before I could even get to that point, I had like multiple sit down sessions. It was like an hour and a half of just like troubleshooting, character creation, closing the game and coming back to it. So I was in a very bad headspace with this game before I could even begin effectively playing it.
Sounds like fun to me.
Yeah.
It sounds like you had maybe just very bad luck, because I feel like when I played, I don't think I ever had an encounter in that first hallway. I feel like I had to often like go into an actual room like that looked like a doorway before an encounter would really appear. I don't know.
I mean, I did have very bad luck. I'm pretty sure the first encounter, if I'm remembering right, was 9 enemies in it.
Yeah,
which,
that's crazy.
Yeah, which is, I think, the most I saw ever. But again, I didn't know, because I was like, I do know in early D&D, like, they just have things in, like, the first edition scenario book that are like, you come upon 30 wolves. And I was like, I don't know, maybe that's normal. Who knows?
It is very frustrating early on in this game because your team is so fragile, which is, again, just like D&D. When you have a level 1 party, you're 1 foot in the grave at all times.
Yes.
This is why a lot of modern D&D campaigns just start you at level 5, because they're like, fuck this.
No, what's interesting, though, is that I didn't feel like that when I started the game, when I like went back in.
Well, you didn't even get to start the game.
Right, but like, right. But, exactly. No, so I did replace, I was the one who died. I did replace Bad Dog with Bad Game. And,
Nice.
and,
Nice spite
yeah,
name.
so
there were
but, like,
times, by the way, when I wanted to, like during the text adventure games, when you'd like type "fuck you" to the game or something.
Right.
I really
Right,
wanted to be
yes.
able to do that, but you can't free type in this game.
I know, I had the same reaction.
Go ahead. You're
But
back
yes,
in it.
like you start, I mean, this is where you, as you said, there's a gameplay loop. I have a map, right? I like drew myself a little graph. I started being like, okay, corridor here. I like slowly figured out how to map stuff. And like I said, I went out there till I was kind of hurt, came back, healed up at the inn, okay, I got some gold, went back in, mapped out some more, came back. I spent some time doing that, and I was like, you know what? This is, I was really pissed off and frustrated. Once I actually get to the game, this is not so bad. Like, this is, I don't know that it's like fun. I don't know that it's worth the upfront frustration, but like, it's the kind of thing that if I didn't have anything better to do because I was a nerd with no social life in 1980 and all I had was my computer, maybe you sit down and for like a half hour or an hour a day, you just map out some more of the maze and and eventually you level your characters up and you put some armor on them or something. And like, that's pretty fun. And slowly your maze book grows over time. And I was like,
Hmm.
yeah, okay, I do see the appeal. I do see why people played this, but it took so long to get to this point.
It's almost like you're a little Sims or a Tamagotchi or something. You'd
Mm-hmm.
just be like, "Oh, let me check on my little guys today. Oh, they're level 12. Oh, I got to level 3 of the maze. Okay, that's fun." And you just, yeah, I think a lot of these games were playing on the assumption that you only had 3 games. So it was
Right.
okay if one required you to play it for hours at a time over a period of months or years. Uh, yeah. So I mean, the maze experience. I mean, we just for anyone who's not seeing the video or doesn't know, we could also detail more about how the combat works exactly, which is probably more or less how you would expect for a turn-based
Mhm.
RPG. But your fighter people or samurai, whatever your main melee kind of fighters will usually just have a fight option that makes the most sense, just a basic
Mhm.
attack, and then your mages can have and priests can have spells, and thieves can also attack, but they're just kind of not as strong. You really just have them for treasure chests, as far as I can tell, until they
Yeah.
maybe level up.
Yeah, I mean, I still found that very useful because it's like most of the treasure chests are booby trapped and they'll like fuck you up if you try to open them.
Yeah.
So it's very important to have somebody who can do that.
Well, I found that every treasure chest that I found, which they usually appear after an encounter,
Hmm.
and it's like, okay, inspect it. And it's like, who do you want to inspect it with?
Yeah.
Like, and
Mm.
really, like, okay, I get it. It's D&D. Oh my god, but it's pretty annoying to have to, like,
Yeah.
every time you want to do anything, even going into the shop, you have to
Yeah.
choose who is going into the shop.
Yes.
You
And then
can't
you
just
like,
buy stuff and allocate it.
yeah, and you have to choose who is going in. You have to pool all your gold on the guy who's going in because otherwise
Yeah.
he might not have enough. And then you kind of want to go back to the tavern and divvy up your gold afterwards. So in case somebody dies
Yes.
and doesn't come back, you don't lose all of it.
And you can't just do that at the same place or from a shared menu.
Yeah.
You have to go to different buildings to
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah. Yeah, like
Completely ridiculous.
imagine that it just if you were like I want to disarm or I want to inspect this chest, it just was like let's roll the best character for it if you do.
Yeah.
Imagine.
Yeah, imagine. Well, so anyway, my experience with these chests was that I got one of the traps is poison needle, and I swear I
Mhm.
got it like every time.
That was most of
And
them, yeah.
and if you get poisoned, you just have to go. You just have to leave the maze, and they'll
Mhm.
get healed. I mean, maybe there's spells or something or other ways later on, but it was basically just okay, leave, or they're gonna die. So I did that a bunch of times. And also sometimes, you'll inspect the chest and one guy will say, "Oh, it's a poison needle." But if you pick a different guy, they'll go, "Oh, it's actually a crossbow trap."
Right.
And then another guy will go, "Oh, there is no trap on this one." And then before I get a chance to think about disarming it, oh, the trap went off while you were looking at it.
Right. Yeah, you can't inspect it too much or the trap will go off. Yeah. A lot of times it is just like inspect it with the guy who's best at inspecting it, and then
And then
and then
just
he'll
hope.
and then hope that he's right, and then disarm it with the same guy. Now, I actually had a disaster happen specifically because I did not trust my guy who was good at it enough, which I should have. Because okay, so Habbo the Hobbit. I was an insane character, right? Like he just rolled ridiculous stats. So he was very good at inspecting and disarming these traps, right? Like I think he had like fucking like 18 agility and 15 luck or something insane. Just
Hell
ridiculous.
yeah.
But yeah, so that was a whole thing. But yes, at the disaster that ended my playing of this game did begin with me being like, let's just double check it with my gnome priest, and he got poisoned from it.
Yeah. I do like that to disarm it, you have to type in the correct
Yes.
name.
Yes, that's worth noting. When you say disarm it and it's a poison needle trap, like what it means is it'll say disarm and then type in the name of the trap.
And if you're right, it'll be disarmed. Well,
Right.
I'm sure at least, I don't know, there's probably luck associated with
There
that
probably
too.
is, yeah.
So that was annoying. I started this somehow by saying I was going to talk about the combat and we got on treasure chests, but then there's also, yes, the spells, which, as you said, you must type in
Yes.
yourself. I don't even, as far as I can tell, it doesn't even tell you what you
No.
know.
Nope.
You have to keep track of that.
Right. Yeah. As far as I'm aware, what you know is the spells for your level. And how do you know that? Well, in the guidebook, you go to the page where all the spells are because it does list them all out. So you just look it up.
The only two that I just started remembering and using were Halito, which is the basic, like a fire spell that your mages
Hmm.
can do, and your priest can do Dios, which is a healing spell.
Hmm.
I think I tried. There's like Cantino or Catino is a darkness spell. It's supposed to stop the
Yeah.
enemies. Maybe that worked once or twice. But it is funny and ridiculous that you have to type them in manually and just
Yes.
know them.
Yeah. No, I mean, like when I'm looking at my like level one spells, so the way that I really found it was that like if there are very few enemies. Like I didn't actually like Halito that much, the fireball, because I was like, if there are not that many enemies, then I kind of don't want to waste my few spells because my fighters can just beat them up. Like I don't need to damage them with my mages. But if there
Sure.
are a ton of enemies, then I either want to be running away or I want to be using my mages to like stop them from killing me. So I would rather be casting like sleep spells on them, and trying to get a couple of them out of combat for a while. Um, Now the
I'll tell you
priest, and I don't know, I
this.
used it much. Also had Kalki to boost the whole team's armor, whatever AC.
Hmm. Right.
Hmm.
Right. I never had to really worry about spell slots because I never did more than like 2 fights before leaving and coming back.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, once by the time I was on the second thing, I was just like, oh, it turns out that I actually can just like if it's not a shitload of enemies, I actually can just beat every single fight basically without taking damage. It's pretty easy. And if there are a lot of if I take a little bit of damage, I just heal it off. If there are a lot of enemies, I can run or I can spam sleep. Um, and it wasn't too bad. You did still have to run out of the maze quite frequently, but like it wasn't too bad if once I figured out what the hell I was doing and was mostly fighting shitty enemies.
Well, I'll tell you, my first feeling playing this was that I actually did think it was still less annoying than the random battles in Final Fantasy.
Hmm.
In that it felt like, okay, I'm going into the maze. So it's not like just the overworld or something. It's like I'm choosing to engage
Hmm.
with this. And maybe it sounds like your experience maybe was different, and maybe I was just lucky or I just wasn't paying attention. But it seemed like most of the hallways I could move through safely. And then once I found like a little alcove, I would go, oh, I bet there's an enemy in there and enter, and there was an enemy. It felt not as punishing as just every 10 feet, there's a fucking guy in your face. That was my initial
Yeah.
feeling.
No, it was not as punishing as every 10 feet there was a fucking guy in your face. No, I think it is closer to what you're saying. But,
I think some of it's psychological. Something about moving around in first person in the maze, it didn't feel as annoying for some
mhm.
reason
Yeah, I mean,
to me.
I do think there was. And maybe it's because you don't move as far with time. Like you go to the area and you kind of stop and map it, and then you move, and then you map, and then you move, and then you map. Like you're not just like in the time it takes you to go 5 tiles in Final Fantasy, right, is no time at all. And so in Final Fantasy, it feels like you're being stopped constantly. Oh my God! Whereas in this, it's like, okay, it's been a while since I've had my last encounter.
I think another aspect of it is that in Final Fantasy, the way I approached that game, which
Hmm.
maybe is just wrong,
Hmm.
but my mental approach to that game was my goal is to reach the end of this dungeon or find this
Mm-hmm.
treasure or get to the next story beat. And therefore, every enemy I encounter is slowing me down. Whereas in Wizardry, it really the only reason you're here is to fight. You're here to
Yeah.
find the entrance to the next floor, but other than that, like the only thing you're going to find on the next floor is more enemies. So it doesn't feel like I'm being slowed down because it feels like this is the reason I'm here.
Right. Yeah, no, I do agree with you. I think there is that psychological element to it. And I don't know if that's better or not because
No, I don't
it's
know
like
either.
it's like cuz like I do agree with you. I was not annoyed by seeing enemies for the most part. I was just like, oh,
That's what it is.
okay.
Like that's what the
Yeah,
game
like
is.
that's
What
what I'm
else is it
trying
going
to
to
do.
be? Yeah.
But like, it's not like it's that different. So like maybe there is something to be said for like the part of this game that's the good part that you are here for is the part that's just an annoying road bump in Final Fantasy. Maybe that doesn't speak so highly to the game. I don't know, but psychologically, you're right. Like it's not frustrating, even when I mean, maybe I'll just tell you about my disaster, but even at that point, I wasn't frustrated by the encounters. I don't think the encounters ever frustrated me.
Well, I also want to quickly talk about the mapping because,
Hmm.
like I said, I didn't do it. I was like, let me just see if I can get by without it. And
Hmm.
I found that because I had the physical view of it, I was able to get through it. And also I thought because there are technically more rooms compared to
Hmm.
like a Zork, right? Because like each section of the hallway is like a stop.
Hmm.
It just seemed more mentally exhausting to me to map that out, and I didn't feel like doing it.
Mm.
But I never. The thing is, I didn't get far enough into the maze to need the paper map. Whereas I'm sure if I kept playing and actually descended, I would. But because I just kept dipping my toe in and then zipping back out again, I found I was pretty well able to find my way just back to the stairs every time because I just didn't go very far.
I'm trying to see if my phone is near me. I could get you a picture of my map right
I
now, but
mean, well, we can have it for the video at
yeah, we
least,
can have
but
it for the video. Um, but yeah, I mean, I guess for me, I was actually kind of making it my goal at a certain point. I was just like, what I want to do is map out a little bit more. I want to see how much more of the
mhm.
map I can fill out before I go back, right? And that kind of gave me something to do other than just like I wasn't just like I'm in here to grind some battles and go out. It was like I'm in here to see if I can map out a couple more rooms, and while I'm at it, I'll fight some battles, and then I'll see. The goal is to net gold every time and net rooms on the map, right?
I think that's the correct way to approach this game, and probably the correct way to approach text adventures that we've played too.
Hmm.
Is that's your goal? Is like let me just make a little progress, mark it down, and then next time I'll have a better sense of where to go. It's about the one step at a time, not the let me get in there and really do some damage and get some shit done in a big
Yeah.
wave. It does seem like in the early sections of the game, it really is all about grinding so you can actually accomplish anything. And I saw somebody online suggest that or at least what they did was they started with only 3 fighters,
Hmm.
didn't make another 3 characters because if you have fewer characters, the experience is still the same amount. It's just spread across
Mm.
them differently. So that way they would buff up their 3 fighters to get to like level 3 or 4 first so that they could protect the weak guys in the back.
Interesting. Yeah.
I was
Okay.
like,
I can see that.
that's kind of smart. But everything that I read about all this stuff, my reaction of like, oh yeah, you take your time, you grind, you go in a little bit, you go out, you do it slow, you play it careful. Always, I just thought, well, that sounds really fucking boring, and I don't want to do that. So
Yeah. I
I'm
mean,
not
this was
gonna.
this was kind of the thing. Is that in the guidebook, there's a whole thing where it's like at the bottom, there's like a I don't remember power amulet with like Werdna the witch or something.
The
So
evil wizard, that's the enemy of the game.
right. So um no, I thought the Mad Overlord was the king who sent you in there to fight the witch Werdna.
No, Werdna is a wizard. I don't know where you're getting witch
Really?
from. Yeah,
Oh,
Werdna's
okay.
for sure a wizard.
Okay, sure.
You're right about the Overlord
Yeah.
is the castle guy.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I don't know where I'm getting witch from. Maybe Werdna just sounded like a witch name to me.
It's Andrew backwards, you see.
Right, sure, but who cares?
The
Like, he just
fanatical
named it
wizard
after himself.
Werdna. You're saying Werdna. Well, maybe it's Verdna.
What? I don't think I said Werdna.
No, you didn't. I'm saying maybe it's Verdna. You said
okay.
Werdna.
Yeah, Werdna.
As opposed to Wordna.
Oh, sure.
You're doing it with like a...
Well, because if I said Wordna, it would be an O because of the word word.
Sure, like it wouldn't be like the word verb. Or perch. Or hearse. Or mermaid.
The point here, though, being that, like, that is not really... Like, in the game, there's no indication that that's there, and there's no indication that you're progressing toward anything. So and there's no real indication that there's anything along the way. Like, when I read the manual, it's like, okay, you fight this wizard at the end. That's fine. In the meantime, there's 10 levels of maze. Okay, but what are those for? Well, there's 10 levels of maze. And so it really does feel like the point is just kind of to map out the maze, right? As opposed to, again, in Final Fantasy, it's like, okay, here's the next town, the next town. Here's the next guy who wants you to do something. Here's the next thing you're supposed to get. Now, I did start finding at some point, like, statues that I could, or something, or things that I could, like, investigate in here. And I was like, maybe there's more to maybe there's more to it, right? Like, even in Colossal Cave and stuff, it's like, okay, I can get to a new room and read a new description of a room. Whereas here, it's like, if I get to a new room, I just drew it on the map because it's just more of the Windows screensaver. As I said, though, there were a couple of those. So maybe if I got deeper into the maze, there would be more things to look at, and there would be like goals along the way. But because it was so aimless, it just felt like, yeah, you're pretty much just doing this gameplay loop of mapping.
I do not think there is much of that stuff.
You're probably right.
I tried to go online and watch footage of people who were farther in the game just to get a sense of how the progression was, if any. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I think those rooms are few and far between. I don't really know what you're supposed to do in them, but I think 90% of this maze is just move and fight, move and fight, move and fight. Mm-hmm. That's pretty much it. Like, I don't think fundamentally much changes from level 1 to level 10 other than, well, you have more spells.
Yeah, I mean, that is my assumption as well. Like I said, it does... When you are in that loop, there is a kind of chill atmosphere to it, right? Like I said, it's not the sort of thing where you're like, oh, I'm excited to get to the next part. It's not the sort of thing where you're like, oh man, I feel accomplished because I did this cool thing. It's not the sort of thing where you're like, ooh, I got to see this or that or the other thing. But it is the sort of thing where, like I said, yeah, it's kind of, you sit down for 30 minutes, map out a little more. Yeah, it's kind of chill. Okay, cool, a little relaxed. Don't really have to pay attention. The problem is that there's this massive, frustrating hurdle to get over before you get there. And I then ran into this second frustrating hurdle, which shut down my attempt. And I was just like, all right, that chill experience is only good if you, like, are handed it. I'm not going to, like, fight through waves of frustration to just get that. I need some kind of sense of accomplishment, and it's not fucking worth it.
Yeah. Well, the accomplishment is gaining levels, which unlike a modern RPG, it doesn't happen right away. You have to leave and go to the inn to discover you've gained a level.
Yes, and I think levels are I think levels are closer to levels in D&D. Right? Like, I feel like it feels like you level up more frequently in something like Final Fantasy. Like, if I go delving into a dungeon and explore it a lot and come back up, there's a decent chance I went up a level. Whereas here, it was kind of like, I mean, if I get deep in and come out, but I didn't really level up characters, like, at all, basically.
I think,
like, I didn't happen.
I did a few times, but it's just another layer of frustration that even when you're in the dungeon, unless you are keeping close track of it, which maybe people
Mhm.
are, you don't know if you gained a level or not. You kind of just have to guess, go on vibes like, oh yeah, how much experience did I need? Oh yeah, I guess that's maybe close to it. Well, let me go back up, I guess. And you don't even get the benefit of being stronger. It
Yeah.
doesn't make sense. I mean, this must be a relic from original D&D. I don't know.
It
But
probably is.
like,
Yeah,
why
no,
would you? Oh, I gained all this experience. I don't know how to do it though until I go to sleep at the inn. There's no logical sense behind it. I mean,
um,
there's no logical sense behind levels at
yeah,
all. But
it's more. It has again. It has logical sense if you imagine that D&D is trying to systematize the real world, where it's like, okay, I did a bunch of exercise. Am I stronger now? No, you got to go rest up. You got to go rest up,
I,
and then and
I guess.
recover. Right? You're not, you're weaker now, if anything. And so that's why it's like you go rest up at the inn. In a regular game, it's like, how long were you in that inn for? I don't know. The screen flashed black and I walked out. Right? Here it's like
Oh
you're
yeah.
in the inn for 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks,
Yes.
right? And it's like that's because that's what's interesting about the experience of day-to-day life is the mathematics behind how it works, not the actual experience itself.
Yeah. By the way, the if your characters age, they can actually become worse. Like they
Hmm.
actually get older.
Hmm.
I don't know how long this takes because obviously I didn't play long enough to experience this, but in the manual they talk
I
about it.
I almost guarantee you that it's realistic, right? Like because like it'll say like this is you're in there for this many weeks, and in the manual it
Yeah.
said like by the time they're around 50 they won't be good for much. I almost guarantee you it is keeping track of their age. And
It's nuts. I found it I really struggled
Mhm.
getting gold and being able to consistently heal and or revive and or like buy new equipment, which I never really did because I
Yeah,
never
I never
knew
did
what
that
was
either.
better. But after it felt like it almost a similar loop to when I played SimCity, where it
Mhm.
just felt like, well, I keep playing. Eventually, I run out of money and I don't know what to do, so I guess I'll just stop.
Mhm.
And
I
that's how I felt in this game. Was
Yeah.
like, well, everyone sucks now. They're dying. I don't have money to heal them. I can't go back in. They'll die again. I guess I just got to start over.
I do think I was netting money. Like that is I do think that every time I
You
came
might
out,
have
I
been
was
better than
netting
me.
gold. Maybe. I mean that being said, I never really bought new equipment either. Like I was just like, I don't quite have
Yeah.
enough for new equipment. I'll just hoard a little bit more. And what if I need to revive somebody? It was really only that first time where my character died, and they were all like, "I'll take all your money to not revive him." Before I even got started, that I was like, "Oh my god, I guess I need to bring in a new character to pool more money in."
And then it
Um,
sucks because then that all if again if a character dies, you have to make a new one, and they're at level 1 again. So it's
right.
like this. It just
Yeah.
sucks. It just feels so defeating.
Yeah, yeah. I do suspect though that if your characters got too old, it wouldn't be a huge deal because you'd sell all of their gear and then pool all of their money to another character and then give it all to a new one.
Yeah, I
But
guess. Yeah,
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know. I don't
Make
know,
up for the
man.
level difference with the good gear.
Something else people might not be conscious of if you haven't played this game, and even if you are watching the video, I think we
Hmm.
need to point out in the original version of this game, there is no music.
Hmm.
There are not really any sound effects. I think maybe there's might be some like little clicking sounds once in a while or something.
Yeah, it
But
clicks
it's
at me sometimes when can't do the thing I'm trying to do.
you're doing all this in silence. It's
Hmm.
just which is true of a text adventure we've played, but I don't know when I'm playing those text adventures it feels more like, well, this is more akin to a book. So
Yeah.
I'm it feels more correct. And here it's like an RPG dungeon crawl and I'm going this is very isolating and uninteresting to experience. Now, I did look up in the NES version of the game, there
Hmm.
is music. There is also some color. The maze walls have some color to
Oh,
them. And you also have a spell list because there was no keyboard on the NES. So they
right.
actually tell you what your spells are.
Holy shit.
So I do think the NES version is just a marked objective
Yeah.
improvement over
Yes.
this.
Yes, yeah, more intelligibility would be a huge bonus. The fact that like, they also kind of shoot themselves in the foot by having little skeletons and slimes and monsters, because I look at those and I go, well, I clearly know you can make pictures. So, like, why isn't my human guy a human? Why isn't my elf an elf? Why are they just a name? When I go into Gilgamesh's tavern, why isn't there a little guy there and who's like, I'm Gilgamesh's son, Bilgamesh. I run the tavern, right? Like, why isn't that? Why don't they just do that, right? I know they can. If they didn't have the graphics, I wouldn't be out here like, I want to see my dwarf guy. Final Fantasy let me see my black mage. But they do have graphics, right? So I know they can.
Yeah. Also, the graphics, even when you're in combat, it's like, oh, there's 5 kobolds here.
Yeah.
And it literally just says kobold parentheses 5, and there's one sprite. And I'm like, okay, I guess. It sucks. This game isn't made for people who want to meet Bilgamesh. It's made for the people who love spreadsheets.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, 100%. Like, there is so much of this game is hampered by it not being an experience, right? It's like, it's so strange. It really is for the person who thinks it's cool to have the computer do the math, but only thinks it's cool. They still want to do it themselves. Right. Because again, it's like you've stripped the social interaction from it by putting it on a computer, and you haven't given me an environment, and you haven't given me a story. Right, the way that you would get naturally out of social interaction. So, like, what is the point of the computer? Right? What is the computer doing for me here? Right? I guess it's handling the math, but if you take away the math and the story and whatever, what's left? There's nothing left.
Fighting.
But you're not fighting. F. Yeah, I'm pressing most. I mean, because this was the other thing with the spells is that, like I said, in most fights, I didn't need to use my mages to kill them. I could just hit them with the fighter. So I'm literally, every fight is just FFF and then do that 3 times, and then the fight's over, and you probably didn't take damage. You're probably okay.
See, that was my experience, except I did take damage every time, and I wasn't okay.
I mean, occasionally I took damage, and then I go back. Did you have? Maybe, I mean, what were you outfitted in, like chainmail on everybody?
I was on my fighters, but then I mean, I didn't look into also, like, I don't know, should I have read up on what was better to use? Like, I just like, they have a longsword. That seems good. I don't know. Does the mage has like robes? Because I think that's the only thing he could wear, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
I don't know. I just think I had bad luck, or I was just maybe my stats were worse. Like, that's the part of it. Maybe I just rolled bad characters.
That's true. Some of my characters were just worse than other characters. Like I said, the Hobbit that I had was like a fucking god character. It was insane. I couldn't. It was unbelievable. Like, I looked at the stats and it was like 12 bonus points or some crazy shit.
In modern D&D, when you roll a character, you know, you can shape them to a certain extent. You combine it with their backstory and personality and all these things. There's no real reason, other than it being boring in this game, not to just constantly re-roll your characters until you get all OP ones at the beginning.
Yeah, 100%.
But that's not that fun. Then why not just make them? I don't know. Like, what nerds are really sitting there like, I'll use this subpar one to play it by the rules.
I think that is one of the interesting things about the computer that, you know, I can actually give them a little bit of leeway on this, because that's not necessarily clear to you if this is the first time it's done. You know, in person, it's true. It's like, you roll for your character. Okay. But you know, I could just cheat and roll again a couple times until I get the character I want before actually recording the number, right? Why wouldn't you do that? And the answer is the social contract. If your friends saw you doing that, you'd be like, fuck off, you fucking loser. No, no, you don't get, no, you're taking your lower fucking die roll. Why are you get out of here, dumbass. Whereas in this game, it's like, there is no reason not to do it. Right? There's just no reason not to do it. And I do think that is something that might, you know, if you spent a lot of time rolling characters and you're like, well, I know the reason you wouldn't do it. It's because you just don't do that. That's just not something that's done. Right? It's just not done. But like now that you've removed your peers judging you, it's absolutely something you can do. And that's not, I think modern video games are probably better at preventing that, or putting system, or at least being aware of the fact that, like, yes, you can just retry something 100 times until it goes right for you. That's like intended part of the game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the fact that literally when you're done making a character, it says, "Do you want to keep it? Yes or no?" It
Yeah,
seems to be inviting you to just go,
it's
"Oh
true.
no, this one sucks."
It does seem to be inviting you to do that. That's true.
And again, now this maybe wasn't the case in old school D&D, but in modern D&D, if I roll a character whose stats aren't good, first of all, they've made it just so it's harder to really roll someone who's totally useless or something.
Mm-hmm.
But I can use that, like, oh, what does that say about my character? Or I can just assume, well, my dungeon master is gonna like, unless this is depending on what kind of campaign you're doing. Probably they're not going to just let me die right away, so I can count on leveling up and getting some items and improving where I'm weaker in right now, etc. And here
Yeah.
there is no external anything. There's no other stuff. It's just fight, leave.
Yeah.
So who cares? Just give me the
Yeah.
stats.
Right. Yeah. 100%. And like I said, I'm not as familiar with D&D, but like I do think this is one of the issues with D&D is that it doesn't encourage anything beyond just, oh, my character has bad stats, so they're bad, so I'm now, and like if you have a good DM, they should be doing more than just rolling the stats and playing out a scenario. They should be actually making a story and adapting to the characters and the actions of the players and blah blah blah. But like, the other systems that I was a part of, it there was a lot more just like, okay, if your character has bad stats, that's kind of fine because like combat's only a small part of this. Like that's fine. You still have motivations, you still have backstory, you still have experiences, you still have like traits, and those might help you out in doing things or talking to people or directing the party. And somehow a story will be told, and that's all that really matters. But again, none of that has been adapted right into this game. Like the computer has not layered anything onto it other than the rule book. Right.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe we should do a D&D episode for the Patreon.
Yeah,
We should
maybe.
play D&D.
Holy shit. Yeah, we should do that. With our patrons,
I
maybe. I don't want to do that.
mean, one other thing that's maybe noteworthy about this game, this is the first game we've played that uses some version of the WASD keys to move, which of course is a modern staple
Mhm.
of computer games. Of
Yep,
course,
I
here
did
it is
not do that.
What do you mean you did not do that? What
You
did
can
you
also
do?
use the arrow keys to do the same thing.
Why? In the manual it tells you WAD.
It also, well, it tells you WADX, and then it says you can also use the arrow keys if your keyboard has them.
Yeah, why would you? What's
Because
wrong
my
with
keyboard
you?
has them.
Fuck, that sucks. You want to have your left hand on the things. This makes no
What?
sense. It's much
Why?
easier to
Huh?
have your left hand on the left arrow, the directional keys, because,
What?
well, it's because you normally would be using the fucking mouse in
Yeah,
conjunction
I'm not
with it.
using
But
the mouse.
it's still, but then your left hand is still in position for if you need to type a spell or something or press the F key. Like,
My left
I don't
hand's
know.
already. My left hand can actually be. You could do it either way, right?
I don't like this.
Your
No,
left
it's
hand's on
bad.
WASD and your right hand's on the number pad, or you could have your right hand on the arrow keys and your left hand on the number pad.
It's just
Like my left
wrong.
hand's still on the keyboard.
It's just not how things are done.
Well, I've never done things before. You know how I move
But
up
the
and down on a
book
keyboard?
told you. The book
No, it
told
didn't.
you.
The book told me I can use the arrow keys. I'm going to tell you right now, it is actually how things are done. If I'm trying to maneuver around a document, right, on my keyboard, I do not use WASD. Those type letters.
When you played Borderlands, did you use a controller or your mouse and
Yeah.
keyboard?
Yeah, I played it on console.
Oh, fuck off. You suck. WASD supremacy. It's the correct way to play.
Listen, if you give me a game where I also have to use a mouse, actually, first I'll have to figure out what the fuck happened to my mouse because it broke. But but I will probably have to use WASD for that.
When we get to fucking Doom, yeah, you better fucking use those keys.
I might just remap my keyboard.
Fuck you. You suck. Anyway, in this game, it's not WASD, it's WAXD.
Right. XD. Lol.
They didn't quite lock into it yet.
Wah, XD.
Another thing in this rulebook that I wanted to point out that I really liked, which I'm sure that you saw as well. I have to find it.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, when they're at the very beginning of it. Oh, for crying out loud! Why is this?
Would you like me to go find it for you?
No, I got it. Here it. Okay. So they're talking about, they're describing the characters and the races and all this stuff. And it says, note, in the above, we are assuming the adventurer is male, as we may sometimes do in this guidebook. Wizardry is a non-sexist game. However, English is a sexist language. What the fuck is this? What does this mean? Why it's a sexist language? Because you don't know how to just write him/her or whatever? Or they?
Yeah, at the time they, for some reason, were back in the medieval era of thinking they was somehow grammatically improper.
But you still could say he or she. Like, there's ways around this.
Yeah, or you could just not give a shit
English.
And say he and not worry about it.
It's just such a funny note. They didn't have to include this.
No.
Like, what are they?
Yeah, it's a joke.
Were they worried?
I don't think so. I think it's a joke. It's funny.
I don't know. I think it's sort of tongue in cheek, but I don't think it's like a joke. I think they are trying to say something about the way it's written. I think they are like, we better head off some angry letters or something.
I don't. I feel like you are maybe projecting a little bit too much social awareness onto these loser comp sci nerds.
Maybe, I mean, that's maybe not correct. I shouldn't say like heading off angry letters, but it does. It's not written to me. Maybe it's just not funny. I'm not reading it as a joke because it's not funny. So I'm confused if it's supposed to be a joke. Whatever. Nerds are stupid. Give it an IGN rating. Are you done? Are we done?
I didn't tell you about my actual catastrophe that stopped me playing the game.
Oh my god. They died. What could have happened that was so interesting? Aren't I a good podcast co-host?
You really are. You're really hyping the audience up to hear about this.
Oh, you have a story to tell? Shut the fuck up. Can we just end it? Go ahead.
We are well under time right now. We don't want to have a short episode.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So like I said, I got into the gameplay loop, and I could see it was kind of fun. But like I said, it's not worth the frustration. So, and like I said, I was at a point, Nomio got poisoned, right? My gnome priest, who is also your white mage healer. And I was like, all right, run back to town. Not that hard. Whole map is mapped out. Whatever. No big deal. Except that at some point I did accidentally take a wrong turn. And I don't know where, because the problem is that all the hallways do look the same. So if you think you're somewhere you're not, it's very difficult to realize you're somewhere you are, or that you know where you are. Anyway, I was in an unmapped section of the map, and this is when I hit a series of rooms that were just like, these rooms have 9 doors apiece, and some of the doors lead back to the same room, and some of the doors seem to lead into 1x1 squares with no doors in them, where I go back and there's no door, and if I just walk around enough, eventually I see a door. It'll just tell me every direction I go, you can't go that way, until eventually I can, and I can see a door. And I did not understand how these things worked. I did not understand what was happening. I was lost in this maze of the same room, and I knew even if I got out of the same room, I still wouldn't know where I was in the stupid fucking maze. My white mage is now long dead from poison, and this was the point where I was like, literally, I just want to go back to town and start mapping the maze again, a new section of the maze, but I don't even know how to do that other than hitting arrow keys randomly for 30 fucking minutes and hoping I don't die to random encounters. It really feels like after all of that, right? I remade my party like fucking 3 or 4 times before I could even start. I spent less time looking around the maze than I spent fucking building my party. Well, not by much. Maybe I didn't, but maybe like about 50-50. And now here I am, and it looks like fuck everything you did. Time to start over, right? And that was the point where I was like, quit. I quit. And then, I had time to come back and try again. And I was like, no, I'm done. You're done. You had fucking 5 strikes. You missed all of them, game. So, that was the end of my experience with this game.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, sounds like fun. I had 2 total party kills. I don't think I got as far as you, because I think I just saw the writing on the wall, and I was like, at a certain point. Also, I found running a couple times. I tried to run and it failed, and my party just got slaughtered after that.
Yes, I found that running usually was not worth doing. Like, unless the party was like unless the enemies were really, there's like a billion of them. And even then, you probably want to fight.
So yeah, I think I just foresaw what you went through and was like, yeah, I think I know where this is headed. And I stopped even before I got that frustrated. I was like, I was too bored to get frustrated.
I mean, that is the thing, though. I wouldn't have had a goddamn party wipe if I didn't step off the track. And even if I did step off the track, if I didn't wander into a maze of twisty little passages all the same, I probably would have found my way back to something I recognized. Because, like, I was pretty deep in, but other than my priest, who was poisoned from full health, every single other party member was at full health, right? Like, it would have taken and even when I was starting to take chip damage, it was like, I'm not even that close to dying. The problem is that I don't even know how to, like, move to a new corridor right now, much less get out, and I don't have a healer. Like, it didn't even get to a party wipe problem. It was just like, I'm just fucking done.
I don't think there's any healing items, by the way. Like, you can't buy potions or anything.
There is a use item option. So in theory, there might be
I think some armor and stuff does things if you use it, which makes sense because Final Fantasy had elements of that as well.
Yeah, there were mentions of like one-time use items like scrolls too. So I thought maybe those maybe there was a healing scroll. I don't know. I never saw any of those.
If only you had known the spell Duma Pick.
Maybe I did know Duma Pick.
No. You need to.
Oh no, I have Duma Pick written down for mage on my little sheet here. Did I?
Wow.
No,
is that a level?
But doesn't that just give you like?
Oh, yeah, it is.
Doesn't that just give you the general coordinates on the map? It doesn't like show you the whole map.
Yeah, it tells you your displacement from the stairs leading to the castle, vertically north and east.
Okay. Yes, I did know the general area on the map I was lost in. The problem was I didn't know which way I was facing, and I didn't know how to not be in my twisty little maze of passages. Yeah. That was the problem. But I could have been... Yeah.
Final rating.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, this is the problem with this game, is that this game could have been a fine, fun, chill time if you took out all the frustrating hurdles to overcome, right? But like,
if only the game were good, it would have been good.
All of the but it's like normally in a game, you kind of either it's just all chill, or you have 2 sections, the sections that are like rewarding and the sections that are frustrating, right? You do the frustration, you get the reward. And here it's just like you do the frustration and you get to not be frustrated for a while. Right? And it just didn't fit together. Yeah, I mean, it's not that good. I really want to be higher on this game because when I was in a rhythm of making a map, I liked the rhythm, but my God, just like everything about it seemed designed to kick me out at every level. Seemed designed to like not give me anything to look at. Like little monsters. That's about the best I can get is little cute little monster guys. So no world, no environment, not really much of a guy, not really much of anything. Oof. I mean, how can this be anything other than my lowest rated, right?
Wow. You've given some pretty low ratings in the past.
I sure have, but like, I mean, especially looking at it now, can you imagine if it wasn't my lowest rating and Metroid was then rated lower than this?
I mean, I could imagine it.
No, I mean, this game is just, there's nothing to chew on here. I'm going to give this game a 3. Solid 3. This is going to define a 3.
Wow.
And maybe it should be lower, honestly. But I feel like I'm giving this game some credit for being like, if I knew how to control it, I would have been less frustrated. And I did learn how to control it. So, you know.
I hear where you're coming from, and I also feel like I can envision those brief moments where this game is enthralling.
Mm-hmm.
There is something a little charming about just how obscure and weird the game is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at first I was just laughing and smiling at how menu based it was, and just what a funny way to make a game this was.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, maybe there's something kind of zen about that. I play a little today, my party gets stronger. I go out in the maze. One of these days, I'm out here in the real world in my cubicle, but they don't know. I'm standing in the corner of the party. They don't know. My mage just hit level 9
Yeah.
and learned whatever. Like, that's cool. I think whatever that feeling is, I get that plus more from the text adventures we played.
Mm-hmm.
If I wanted that feeling of, mapping something out and little by little making progress and feeling the sense of accomplishment, I enjoyed that way more in a Zork or a cave adventure, which weren't even that high up for me.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're well and beyond this. When we reviewed Final Fantasy 1, I remarked that it was as if they took out all of the things I like about RPGs and only left in the things I don't like. And little did I know how good I had it. Because this is literally that. We stripped out all of the characters, the fun, the joy from this genre. And all it is now is grinding and min-maxing. That is it. It is spreadsheets, the game. It is menus and numbers. There's not even more than one town. There's one town. There's no talking to anyone unless you want to talk to Baltac at the fucking shop. He doesn't just... No, he says... He says,
you talk to Baltac?
Yeah, when you buy something, he says, yeah, you needed that.
Oh, right. Okay, yes, he does tell you something. I was about to say, are you sure there's one town in this game? Are you sure there is actually a town?
Yeah.
But
they call it the
Baltac does
castle,
exist.
so I guess the town.
They call it that.
It's a castle town. It's just so frustrating. Like I said, for some people, I kind of can get it, but for me, there really is nothing here. And this is also going to be my lowest score to date. I think I'll give it a 4.
It's funny. I'm curious though, what would get worse? Like, what's the bottom of your score? If you're saying there's nothing here, what's the bottom of your score? Because it almost sounds like, as much as this game like pissed me off and like basically forced me away from it, there were I did have those zen moments that I did kind of enjoy, and it feels like you didn't even have that. You had literally nothing.
Yeah, I do think, like I said, there is a minimal amount of charm to it. And I'm also, maybe I am giving it a little credit for, 'cause again, it came out so early in this genre's life that I don't fault them for making it this way. I don't think, I think it is more about my personal, what I enjoy about games that
Mhm.
isn't here than me saying that this game is bad. I think the game itself is good for some people. For me, it's bad. So I'm not like, I don't want to totally say it's
Mm.
worthless, but it's not something I want to engage with on almost any level.
Me, I'm a narcissist. If I think it's bad, I'm gonna say it's worthless. I don't care what you think.
Sure, I understand that. But also, I am more aligned with the IGN rating system where
Mm.
anything below a 5 is just abysmal.
Yeah.
I mean, anything below a 6 is abysmal in an
I mean,
IGN rating.
a 3 is shaping up to be pretty fucking bad for me too.
Like, I think to be lower than this, it would have to be like, like an ET Atari level, just like a total disaster.
Mm. Isn't that what we're doing next week? ET?
Actually, that's going to be the rest of the podcast.
Oh, okay. I'm excited for that.
Okay. I did, by the way, take a look
Yeah.
at the remake of this game, and it doesn't look more fun.
Okay. Yeah,
It does have color.
I'm happy you also kind of didn't see anything here and didn't like it, because I was a little bit worried that I was coming in here and I'm just like, I spent as much time literally trying to figure out how to get this game to work as I spent playing it, and I just kind of fucked off and said, I hate this, I don't want to do anymore. And I was like, I wonder if John's going to be mad at me for not playing enough. And I'm going to have to defend myself and be like, what was I really going to see beyond what I already saw? I'm glad we're on the same page.
No, this week I was exactly on that same page that you're often on. And it just felt like there's such a wall at the beginning of this game that it's like, I just couldn't bring myself to get over it. And it seemed like, from what I could tell, that if I had put in all this effort to get over it, it would just be more of this stuff. I don't think it's worth it.
This is your shafts.
This is my shafts. Now, at the time, people loved this game, which we can talk about over in Classic Review Corner.
Is that, we called it that before already, right?
Yeah, we've called it that before.
Okay.
For instance, here's a little piece from Dragon Magazine.
Dragging these nuts on your face.
Hey, what the fuck? Come on. Now, they had their criticisms of the game. Here it says, all is not perfect in Wizardry, but the flaws are minimal. The game tends to process information slowly, since nearly all commands result in a disk access by the program. A flaw in the program's security strategy allows a player to turn off the computer when it looks like a character is about to die, then recover the character via utilities. Oh no. Also, it would be nice if the players could see the monsters in the dungeon setting instead of on an isolated view. But this is less important than the previously mentioned problems.
God, although can we bring whoever wrote this on the podcast so I can punch him?
Although magic users and clerics, parentheses, priests and bishops, I don't
Bishops?
I don't know what they're talking. Have a number of spells. They are not sufficiently different, and many players end up with a variety of attack spells but no defense. A DM might well use the wizardry programs as alternate modules, and many players and DMs can learn something from this program. A bargain at its price and not easily beaten or solved. I recommend it to anyone tired of mediocre programs and ho-hum dungeon encounters.
Programs? I mean, that's how you know. I went out and bought a program.
Yeah, that's right. By the way, at the time, for Apple II, this game cost in 1981 $49.95. Isn't that like
a steal at half the price?
Money? That's how much video games still cost. Like, how much money was that at the time? I feel like that was $100 or something.
I think it's probably a lot more.
But that's another aspect of this, was at the time, people really cared even more than today about how much time these things were going to last you. And
Mhm.
something being obscure and frustrating and difficult was a plus because that meant you got to spend years with it.
Right, yeah, because there were 2 of them.
Right. Here's another one from what magazine is this? Computer Gaming World, 1982.
I feel like we've done this magazine before, or maybe it was just gaming or computer games or computer
Well,
world.
there was Computer User or PC. There's Computer User was one.
Jesus Christ.
They said Wizardry is complex, but even with its complexity, is an extremely playable game. It is highly interactive, to the point that you could easily become emotionally attached to the characters you've created. I've talked to many players who have become Wizardry addicts to the point that they play the game 8 to 10 hours a day.
My God.
I personally could find little to fault with Wizardry. The biggest fault I could find in the mechanics of the game was that it was too easy to get killed at first. This is very frustrating for a first-time player. Even experienced characters could be killed off relatively easily if surprised by a group of spellcasters. Another thing which would enhance the game would be the addition of more puzzles to solve. While the main quest is a difficult one to solve, smaller and more cryptic puzzles would greatly add to the overall effect. In
Imagine
conclusion,
if
I
there
would
was a
rate
progression. Yeah.
I would rate Wizardry as one of the all-time classic computer games. It sets the standard by which all fantasy role-playing games should be compared.
Well, there you go.
They also said, in the years to come, if there ever is a gaming hall of fame, Wizardry receives my vote as the first entry into its hallowed halls.
I mean, it probably does need to be in there, though, because, like, RPG... Like, at the end of the day, I wouldn't have my Pokemon if it wasn't for Wizardry, so...
Right. But man, I mean, you can see things were different back then.
They sure were.
They were eating it up.
I don't
Well,
respect them.
shall we move on to the MMO?
Huh? Oh, right, yes. Yeah, the mail opening.
Well, not just any mail opening.
What was the first letter in this?
It's this MMO.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe we had a different one for the first M as well.
It's the same M as the original MMO.
Right.
Well, actually, no.
Where's like the
Well,
mediocre mail opening? I don't know. That's what I think of our listeners.
Anyway, it's the massive mail opening.
Right.
We got a couple of quick comments here on our Patreon from Sean that I want to read.
Mm-hmm.
Who has been catching up with the pod. We read an email from Sean earlier and said we weren't sure if we remembered him or not. He says, been away for a while. Boy, when life gets in the way of two of my favorite podcasters, I just want to rage. Haven't even gotten to write an email in a while, but I'll set your minds at ease because I know deep down it was bothering you. You did, in fact, give me a shout out at the end of your Animorphs podcast. Does it hurt to be not remembered? LOL, no, because I'll try and leave my mark on this podcast, capital D. Great song. It brought me much joy after a difficult day at work. Now on to business. Time to put my money where my mouth is. Time to secure my spot as a patron. And he did.
I actually knew that second part that he did.
I think Sean's the one who hated Visser too. I think was his Animorphs contribution. Right?
I don't remember the actual Animorphs contribution.
Digging myself deeper, but we love you, Sean. Sean also recommended a movie for our Patreon, which I'll just talk about here, which is Stay Alive, a horror-style movie where a group of teens play a video game and have to stay alive.
Oh, wow. It's like a title drop.
So
I hope somebody says stay alive in it.
I hope so too. I mean, I hope so too. We will we'll add that to the list, of course. All right. Next email comes from one of our good friends, Steve P.
Quickly becoming one of our good friends.
Yeah. Steve P has a comment. So some people are going through our back catalog, and that's fine. As of right now, we
Mhm.
don't have that many emails to read, so we're going to read everything you send in, no matter how
Yeah.
dated it is.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So this one is about the Colossal Cave Adventure episode, the text adventure, which we did reference today.
Mhm.
Steve P says, text adventures are fine for the most part, but I have no tolerance for all the bullshit mazes they used to put in, and I blame Colossal Cave Adventure. I played Zork a few years ago. I made a little bit of progress, but I stalled out in a maze network. In Zork, you would navigate between locations using only cardinal directions. A lot of the game is in the open outdoors, but the maze's rooms have limited exits and are all connected by tunnels. I did try to map out these caves just like I was mapping out the rest of the game world, but I kept getting lost. For example, let's say I went north 3 times in a row. I think it's reasonable to assume I can go south now, but guess what? The game says there's no south exit here. Does this sound familiar? The problem, I think, was that Zork withheld useful information, which would have been obvious to my character. It didn't tell you that the rooms aren't connected in a straight line. When you go north, the game could say the tunnel had a left turn, but no, the game uneventfully brings you from one room to the next, and none of the rooms have any distinguishing features, so you don't even know how you got turned around. At some point after I gave up on Zork, I got the idea to put items in each room, but I don't know how much it would have helped. Anyway, it sucked. Tell me that I made a turn. If my character sees something, I should be able to see it too. I think it's hard to argue with that.
It would have helped to drop those items, but also, yeah, correct. When you get to our Zork episode, Steve P, you'll see we say
You'll have
similar
already
things.
heard, yeah. I mean,
Right,
we
well,
said
that's
some
true,
of this.
yeah.
I pretty much said this episode in
Yeah.
relation to Wizardry.
Right, yes, exactly.
But yeah, that is mazes in general.
Mhm.
There's a reason they aren't in games anymore. They just
Yeah.
are not fun.
Yes.
There's nothing fun about a maze. It just sucks to be in a maze.
Yeah. You know what? You know what's kind of fun? Solving a maze on paper when you can see the entire maze in front of you, and
Yeah.
you can go, "Ooh, little may go around here." And you know what else is kind of fun? Like cornfield and hedge mazes where you get to be outside walking around with your friends, and you don't really care so much about solving it as being like, "Sure, hope I get out of here." Ha ha.
Yeah, I actually love a maze in real life, but that's because
Yeah.
I can actually feel
Yeah.
I have spatial awareness in real life.
Right.
I'm not relying on a text description.
Right. What sucks is when your primary goal is to solve the maze, and you can't and it's not just like a fun distraction. That's
All
not
right.
like a worthwhile goal.
One final email this week. This one comes in from an old friend of ours.
Love all these emails.
I know. The first 2 are Patreon comments.
Oh, I thought you said.
It's fine.
Sure.
But it's the same thing. It's in our inbox.
That's true. Yeah. Okay. Then that counts. Yeah.
This one comes in from Nick, no last name.
Hell yeah. Did Nick write into this podcast yet?
This is Nick's first write into this podcast.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. Hell yeah. Oh man, all our friends are here.
Subject line, bad with games, email 1 of 3.
Oh man.
Get ready to hear
hyped.
this one, because Nick's going to take us to task a little bit.
Uh-oh.
Here's what Nick says. Hey, Gamer Gators. That's spelled like alligator.
Right,
Gamer
yeah.
Gators.
That's
First of
me.
all, as a longtime fan of the Jonathan and Will show, I'm happy to hear you guys again. I have many comments I want to make after binging all your episodes over the past couple of weeks, so I will split them across 3 or so emails to make sure we address everything that needs to be addressed.
Oh god.
This first week's email is all about critiquing your review scores.
Mm-hmm.
I almost joined the Patreon to get Discord access to make my comments there, but it felt like I would be shirking my tradition of sending you an overlong email. Your rating system kinda sucks. I know you're ironically calling it an IGN rating, so that's the point. But man, when you're using decimals on a 1 to 10 scale and it's purely based on vibes, it's hard to keep track of what's good and what's bad. I think we can all agree Pac-Man sucks, so give it a 1 or a 2 out of 5. My personal preference, if you have to use a 10 scale with decimals, effectively making the score of the video game anywhere between 1 and 100, is that you create a rubric for scoring to standardize the score across games. For example, you could have a list of aspects of gaming to score: sound, music, graphics, story, controls, art style, length of the game and or replayability, level design, difficulty curve, and gameplay loop. And once you've made your score of those individual aspects, you add them up to get your total score. In the case of that example list, I would score each between 0 and 1, since there are 10 categories. Then add up the total numbers to get the decimalized version of a final score. And he gives an example chart, a table here, with gaming aspect on the left column, score on the right, and for each of the 10 categories that I just read out, there is a number, and it shows how you would add them up to get a final score, as an example.
So, oh yeah, keep going.
Nick continues. It's not perfect, as it still is pretty vibes-based, but at least it forces you to think about different aspects of the game to constrain your scoring possibilities. On the other hand, if you're going on vibes, then 1 to 5 like Letterboxd works better, as it forces you to make a stronger decision based on asking yourself, do I hate it, do I love it, do I like it, would I watch it again, etc., to get that gut check that you can easily translate into a number. I give your vibes-based decimal reviews a 2 out of 5. Having said that, I love the opening intro to each game. The intro song also is great. I'm also happy to hear that the parody songs will continue in this podcast. Stay tuned to next week, where I ask the heavy questions about gaming and ethics.
Oh,
Signed,
man.
It's a me, Nick, no last name.
Well, we are trying to transition into talking about ethics in video game podcasts, but Nick, you've hit on something that I was going to keep secret for a while here. But I've been playing a little game with my scores here. You say I should have a rubric, but as it turns out, there is a secret behind the scenes rubric that I am assessing every time I give a number. It's similar to these text adventures where, it might say the same thing for every room and you need to pay attention and drop items. So there's a little game here. You should be listening to these episodes and recording my scores in a spreadsheet here, because if you do it, the rubric will make itself apparent. But you gotta pay attention.
Are you fucking with him?
Of course not. Everything I say is always 100% serious.
If we become a real podcast with real fans, what often happens is the fans will create a wiki page for you, and then the fans keep track of our scores online in the wiki.
I actually am. We are keeping track of our scores in the spreadsheet.
We are.
I'm doing the opposite of what Nick said in all truthfulness. Rather than having a rubric for how I feel about games and then slotting the games into them, I am giving games random numbers, and then when I want to score a game, I look at what games it's between or below, and then I just give it another random number below that. It might not be an entirely linear scale.
Here's my response to this criticism. First of all, yes, it's tongue in cheek. It's I by and large, my personal feeling about review scores is that they are not helpful. And when I am looking for reviews of video games, which to be honest, I don't really do that much these days. I pretty much I'll listen to podcasts, or I just kind of can tell if I think I'm going to like something or not. But I don't, the number just isn't that important. It is fairly arbitrary. Everyone defines these things differently. And I feel like if you've listened to us talk about the game for 2 hours or 90 minutes prior, then you know how we feel about the game, and you don't really need that number. That's just a bit of flair for fun at the end. And for me, it's of course more of a personal, so that when I look back at games in the future, I can kind of remember, how did I sort of feel about that? And I know what that 6.5 means to me relative to the game in my memory, but it's all just complete nonsense.
To be fair though, John, you are kind of a score head. You love score so much in games.
I don't know what that. Oh, because of
Because I
arcade
don't like
scores.
scores. Yeah.
I don't really like scores either. I just like them a little
Re-
more than you. It depends on the game.
I'm really excited to hear Nick's reaction when I start getting too many games and I start having to be like, fuck, I give that one a 5.3 and that one a 5.4, but this is definitely in between. And I start giving like 2 to 3 digit decimal places on the games.
Jesus Christ, don't do that.
Oh, I'm going to do it.
No, you're not allowed to do that. I do. I mean,
Whatever I
look,
want.
I'm not going to let you do that. Nick, this is a very elaborate rubric you've laid out here. We're not. I mean, do you really want to hear us every week take an extra 15 minutes to go sound 0.6, music 0.9, it would take so much longer. Nobody wants that. Who wants that?
I mean, we
Nobody
kind of
wants
already do
that.
that. We just don't put numbers on anything until the end.
Yeah, just pretend we're doing that in our heads, and we're arriving at a
Yeah.
place.
As I said, I have a secret rubric. It's your job as the listener to figure it out.
I heard he had a secret rubric. Anyway,
Kind of funny.
I don't know. I'm sorry, Nick. I'm sorry to disappoint you. This is not the answer you wanted to hear. I don't think we could change to an out of 5. I don't know. It's not as fun. I don't want to do that. Do you want to do that?
I might have to increase my tops. If enough games beat Mario, I might change to an out of 12 or 13. Maybe out of 12.7, 12.71.
I mean, I guess he's not wrong that a 10-point scale with decimals is effectively a 1 to 100 scale.
Right.
But
except
so what?
A 1
So
to
what?
100 scale feels a little bit like pretentious and overdone, whereas a 1 to 10 point scale with decimals is funny. Because why'd you
Sure.
put all those decimals in there?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I do
One's
think the
place
decimals
isn't very
are
funny. Yeah.
I mean, sometimes I gotta be like, I think that Double Dragon is 0.1 better than Metroid.
Certain powers of 10 are funnier than others.
I think Metroid is 0.1 better than Final Fantasy.
Yeah, it's not one better. That's crazy.
No, absolutely not. That 0.1 means something.
Right.
Well, anyone else can chime in and see if you also agree with Nick here, or if you don't give a shit because you're less of a fucking dork.
What are you doing here then? Go hang out with your real friends, Jesus.
I can't wait for
Spend time
emails
with
2
us.
through 3.
I'm really excited for them. This brightened. I was in a bad mood because of Wizardry.
Yeah.
Brightened my whole day.
Now, if you would like to send us an email with a comment about our rating system or Wizardry or some other video game aspect, you can do that. badwithgamespodcast@gmail.com. We really encourage you to check out our Patreon, patreon.com/badwithgames. As was alluded to today, you can join our Discord and you can chat with us in there.
It's exciting.
It's a small party right now, but it's a party.
Yeah, it's a real party. We'll talk. You can form up a parasocial relationship with us and pretend even harder we're your real friends. It's pretty crazy.
We don't have a policy right now about if people comment on something in the Discord, I don't think we're reading that on the air. So maybe that's a little awkward if you have to decide, I have a thought, but I should just email it instead of talking directly. I don't know how we handle that. That's fine.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on if you want to, like it's like a little secret club where you're a friend if you're in the Discord.
Yeah.
Whereas here you're
It's
kind of
secret.
getting on your loudspeaker and broadcasting it, right? Megaphone.
100%. Yep. But check that out. And also our bonus podcast at the pro gamer level. Every week you get an audio podcast where we talk about something that may or may not be related to video games. This week it's not related to video games.
This is our proof of concept, right? On it not having to be related to video games, right?
Yeah. You were being weird about like if you wanted to keep it a secret or something. So
yeah, whatever. Fuck it. Just say it.
This week we're going to be discussing the animated Pixar movie Ratatouille.
Yes, and the reasoning behind this is that I have never seen this, and John has gotten pissed off at me for never seeing it on at least several dozen occasions over the course of our lives. So he's making me do it.
So we're rectifying that. So yeah, go check that out. There's a lot of fun to be had over there, and we had a lot of fun today.
Yeah. So if you don't like video games but you do like us, that's the perfect place to be.
We'll talk about video game stuff too, I think.
Okay.
I mean, we already did. They
saw
know.
Reddit
They've been
toying.
listening.
Does that count?
Okay. We're getting into it too much. Next week. Boy, next week is going to be a real
Oh yeah.
Oh god,
I almost forgot.
It's a glass of water to a man dying of thirst in the desert this next week. We're going to have some fun.
Tell me. Say it.
Next week we're playing Super Mario Brothers 2.
Now, normally, I forget what we're doing next week and I don't look it up and I wait for you to announce it. But I really was kind of ready to go on a rant this week and be like, John, I'm new to video games. And I'm not good at them and I don't like them. And it is your job to make me like them first rather than giving me all this shit. And you keep giving me all these things that are frustrating me and kicking me out. And I'm learning that video games aren't good. And I looked it up and I was like, I guess I'll hold off on that rant because I get to play a Mario game again.
That's right. God. This is, of course, the USA Mario Brothers 2 that we're playing. We'll get into that next week. And that is not my job to make you like video games. My job is to teach you about the history of video games and make you understand them. And then liking them, that's season 2.
Well, it is. I mean, listen, it is my job to do whatever you say regardless. It's just I might not like it.
Listen, I haven't been liking any of these games either. I didn't know if they'd be bad or not. I didn't play them. I didn't know Wizardry would suck. I didn't know.
Well, it's going to be... We're going to have a good... Next week we'll be in good spirits. I promise.
We will. I think we really will. Okay. And I think the gamers are getting out.
Gamers out.
Bye.
No gamers out.
I said it already.